Santa Ana winds, the elevated fire threat, and the areas of greatest concern.
And it's Inauguration Day. The event moved indoors inside the Capitol due to the extreme cold temperatures. We are live in D.C. with the plans for today and the wave of executive orders expected to be signed immediately.
Today in LA at 4 starts now.
Good morning. It's Monday, January 20th, as we take this live look outside at downtown LA. Looks kind of gray there. It's kind of. I want to ask Belen about this because it's fairly clear when you look at the skyline, but the clouds, the sky itself looks fairly gray. So we'll check in with Belen in just a moment. We hope you had a wonderful weekend.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Adrian Arambulo.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Michelle Valles in for Lynette Romero, who's hopefully getting some rest here. Well, look what the winds dragged in. Me. No. The winds aren't here yet, but they are coming. Let's check in with meteorologist Belen de Leon talking about a red flag warning. Pretty severe, Belen.
Yes, exactly. I sound like a broken record because here we are more than halfway through January, still not tracking any rain, tracking another red flag warning. No rain has fallen over Southern California. Our vegetation just continues to dry out. And now we're looking at another potentially strong to damaging wind event that is increasing our fire danger. A red flag warning in effect for most of Southern California, including Catalina Island, including the Channel Islands. That's how strong these winds are and how they're strong. They're going to blow all the way out towards the islands offshore. So this starts at 8 a.m. It continues all the way through tomorrow afternoon. This time around, we could see those gusts reach speeds up to 65 miles per hour, but not out of the question to have some isolated wind gusts up to 80, even 100 miles per hour. And for the third time this month, the National Weather Service has issued a particularly dangerous situation red flag warning. It starts at noon. It goes through tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. But this is the area that is of greatest interest and of greatest concern. It is the LA County Mountains, the San Gabriel Mountains, the Ventura County area, all the way out towards the coastline, the western Santa Monica Mountains, and also northern and western San Fernando Valley. So I'll be back to time out these winds and get you ready for it. Right now, let's get a check of the drive. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning. Yes, let's get ready for the commute. We already have a trouble spot on the map. It just popped up for the 405. This is leaving Mission Hills southbound, approaching the Devonshire exit. Just got word of a crash here with one of the vehicles facing the wrong way, blocking the left lane. So I'll keep my eyes on that. Meanwhile, we're checking the drive time, 22 minutes and growing. This may change now that we have a crash in the way from the 118 down to the 105. The South 14 looks great. No problems for the 5 from Santa Clarita all the way down to East LA. And an accident wrapping up in downtown LA, South 101 at Alameda. That's being cleared from the right lane. We'll check the drive time coming up in a little bit. Michelle, Adrian, back to you.
Robin, thank you. Well, the strong Santa Ana winds, in addition to the very dry weather, means that Southern California's fire danger is extremely high once again.
Yep. And fire officials are urging everyone to be vigilant over the next 48 hours. And local leaders are taking precautionary measures to try and prevent any more fires from starting. Let's go to NBC4's Lauren Coronado live in Griffith Park, one of several LA area parks, Lauren, that will be closed today. Good morning.
Michelle, Adrian, good morning. That's right. Local leaders aren't taking any chances. We don't see this too often during red flag warnings, but they're actually shutting down some of the local parks, including Griffith Park here, as we deal with that windy weather, those elevated fire conditions. Yet again, it's like we can't catch a break. I want to show you a handful of parks that are under these closures for today and tomorrow. You can see the list there. We're talking Griffith Park, where we're at right now, Aliso Canyon Park, Coldwater Canyon, Elysian Park, Runyon Canyon, Hanson Dam, Laurel Canyon Park and their dog park, Porter Ranch Park too. Of course, for a full list of closures, because we're talking dozens of parks, you can visit laparks.org. And with the increased chance for fires comes the chance for public safety power shutoffs. We've been talking about this for weeks now. Here's a live look at SCE customers who are being considered for a public safety power shutoff. Nearly 250,000 people, of course, to help prevent equipment from getting damaged in the wind and sparking a fire. LADWP is also warning its customers of possible power shutoffs. A reminder to stay prepared. A lot of people have been preparing. SCE advises you have the following on hand: a first aid kit, which should include prescription medications, bottled water, about a gallon per person per day, flashlights and batteries, including a rechargeable battery pack. And they're saying make sure you have those flashlights in easily accessible areas. Of course, non-perishable food, a manual can opener, coolers and ice chests if you're dealing with a lengthy outage, and special needs items for infants, the elderly, or the disabled, and a battery-operated radio as well to access news reports or, of course, any new alerts. That's a good way to make sure that you stay in the know. Of course, we're going to stay here on the ground. Right now, conditions are calm, so we're going to take advantage of that while we can. Keep in mind, we still have thousands of firefighters who are on the fire lines in Pacific Palisades and in Altadena working to put out hot spots under piles of debris. So this just adding another threat to SoCal. We'll bring you another live report in the next hour. Reporting live from Griffith Park, I'm Lauren Coronado for Today in LA.
All right, Lauren, thank you. And red flag parking restrictions go into effect this morning at 8 a.m. in the cities of Los Angeles and Pasadena. Fire crews need as much room as possible to be able to quickly respond to emergencies. Signs will be posted. Any vehicles caught parking on restricted streets will be towed. These red flag restrictions will last until at least tomorrow night unless conditions change.
Yeah, they will ticket you. And firefighters have contained over half of the Palisades fire as strong winds are set to return to the area. The fire now 56% contained. More than 12,000 homes and other buildings remain threatened. Yesterday, people who live in the Palisades Highlands area were allowed to return to their neighborhoods with police escorts.
We're staying with friend's house and we had no clothes. I mean, it's just very stressful. I mean, it's just, I want to see the house. I mean, I know it's okay, but I still want to see it.
Daily escorts resume at 10 o'clock this morning for people who live in the Highlands. Law enforcement is reminding everyone to stay vigilant of the fire conditions and heed evacuation orders and warnings.
More people in Altadena are back home this morning. Evacuation orders lifted for some areas, but many others are still waiting for word that it's okay to go back to their neighborhoods. Firefighters are making progress getting a line around this fire, now 81% contained. And this number is staggering. More than 10,000 homes, businesses, schools, churches, and other structures were destroyed or damaged. Some students in the Pasadena Unified School District will return to school Thursday. Others will have to wait until next week. Right now on NBCLA.com and the NBCLA app, we have the latest updates on the LA fires, including containment efforts and which areas are being repopulated, along with resources for filing claims and ways that you can help victims.
The first group of Palestinian prisoners has been released from an Israeli prison in the occupied West Bank as part of the ceasefire deal. According to the Israeli Prison Service, 90 prisoners and detainees, all women and children, were released overnight. Scores of cheering Palestinians surrounded a large bus as it exited the gates of the Israeli prison in the West Bank. We spoke to Professor Benjamin Rad, a political scientist at UCLA, about the ceasefire deal and what has to happen for the ceasefire deal to not fall apart.
Both sides have to have trust, and they have to have trust not necessarily in each other, because that's been long since gone, but in the mediators and the negotiators who are facilitating this deal. So that's the United States, the Europeans, local Arab partners as well, who have to make sure that both sides are holding to the terms of the deal.
The release of the Palestinian prisoners came after Israeli hostages, 3 of them, were freed from Hamas captivity in Gaza and returned to Israel.
Well, today, the nation honors Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. President Biden visited Charleston, South Carolina to honor his legacy on his final day in office. The president attended a church service and spoke at Royal Missionary Baptist Church. On Meet the Press, Martin Luther King Jr.'s son, Martin Luther King III, joined Kristen Welker for a special Meet the Moment conversation.
What do you think your father would make of this moment in which we find ourselves?
He'd be quite disappointed, quite frankly, that we are where we are. He probably wouldn't be surprised, but he certainly would be disappointed because he always infused energy that was positive, bringing out the best of who we as Americans are. And quite frankly, unfortunately, in great tragedy, we see the best of who Americans are.
Banks, schools, and government offices will be closed today in observance of Martin Luther King Day. Here in LA, the 40th annual Kingdom Day Parade has been postponed because of our wildfires. The King Day Committee says it was postponed to focus on the recovery efforts. The parade has now been moved to February 17th.
Today is the kind of day where you want to stay inside because we have winds kicking up again, and they're going to be dangerous, potentially damaging, and widespread. So here's what you can expect. Today and tomorrow is when we're going to get the strong winds. Winds reaching up to 50, 70 miles per hour in the mountains, 60 to 80 miles per hour. But get this, not out of the question to maybe get gusts up to 100 miles per hour in a few isolated areas. This will create extreme fire risk. So what that means is that fires can spark easily and can spread very rapidly. The other impacts, these strong winds are also going to bring down trees, power outages, and create some hazardous travel. So keep that in mind if you are planning to get behind the wheel today. Check out the hour-by-hour forecast in Encino, where this morning things are starting off quiet. Then all of a sudden those winds ramp up. 10 a.m. comes around and we've got gusts close to 30 miles per hour. And during the early afternoon hours, gusts upwards of 40 miles per hour. So let's take a look at the timing for everyone because things are nice and sleepy right now. Look at how things change as the morning goes on. Around the middle of the day, these winds are fierce, blowing in those typical Santa Ana wind-prone spots. But can I show you something that is interesting that really got my attention is as we get into the afternoon hours past the middle of the day, we start to see those winds develop in places that are usually wind sheltered. So I'm looking at Altadena, looking at gusts up to 30 miles per hour, the downtown area up to 30 miles per hour. Looking at the South Bay area, we'll have those very strong winds continue into the evening and into tomorrow morning. A reminder that this evening, please don't let your guard down. Be vigilant of what's happening with your forecast. If something were to happen in the overnight hours, then you need to have a way to be able to be notified to act quickly. These strong winds remain in our forecast through tomorrow morning. It's not until we get into the afternoon that we start to see that fire danger threat pass. Now, this is also going to cause some issues when it comes to air quality. I'll be back to talk about that. Here's Robin with traffic.
Morning. The commute's off to a pretty good start. We have a crash wrapping up here in downtown LA on the southbound side of the 101 right around Alameda Street. That's being cleared from the right lane. But as we check out the sensors, no significant slowing. They're passing the scene. And your drive time is still under 15 minutes right now from the 170 split down to the 5. We're checking in on the 110. That looks good between the 5 and the 105. South 5 wide open from the 170 split down to East LA. Checking your drive through the OC, all is well. It's quiet. The 5 Buena Park to Irvine, 16 minutes. Trouble free on the 57. That's good news. And no issues for the 22 leaving Westminster. Now working your way out of Mission Hills, rolling south on the 405. There was an accident in the clearing stages involving a couple of vehicles, one facing sideways. So that left lane is blocked southbound 405 at the Devonshire exit, but no significant delays for the 405, the 5, the 118, and leaving the Santa Clarita Valley. Looking pretty good so far. We'll check back in on this coming up in a little bit. Michelle, back to you.
See you soon, Robin. Next at 4, it's Inauguration Day, and for the first time in nearly 40 years, it will take place inside because of cold weather. We are live in Washington, D.C. with the preparations, the political rally, and the executive orders expected to be signed right away.
Plus, smoke from the Palisades and Eaton fires has subsided, but it's still a very present real threat. The concern over air quality with the wind returning.
Time now, 4:15. We are now just hours away from the presidential inauguration. Donald Trump will take the oath of office for the second time.
But because of the freezing weather in Washington, today's ceremony will take place in the rotunda at the U.S. Capitol. NBC's Alice Barr is live at the Capitol where they are counting down to the ceremony. Alice, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it's going to be a very different looking inauguration day today here in the Capitol. Because of that last minute move inside, there's been a scramble for security adjustments and also, of course, for the hundreds of thousands of people who came to town figuring out now where they're going to watch this. In a phone interview with NBC News, President-elect Trump said that key themes of his inaugural address are going to include unity, strength, and fairness.
Today, the nation's 45th president becomes the 47th in an inauguration day as unusual as President-elect Trump's path back to the White House.
My administration will take immediate and decisive action to confront every single problem America faces.
Only only the second American president to win non-consecutive terms, he'll be sworn in inside the U.S. Capitol over concerns frigid cold temperatures would be dangerous for the hundreds of thousands of people who were expected on the National Mall. 20,000 will now watch on big screens in downtown D.C.'s Capital One Arena.
We won!
Where the president-elect rallied supporters on Sunday and plans to rejoin them after he's sworn in.
The curtain closes on 4 long years of American decline. We're going to stop the invasion of our borders. We're going to reclaim our wealth. And we are going to make America great again.
He also made a solemn visit to Arlington National Cemetery after a phone interview with NBC News outlining his day one plans on everything from saving TikTok to mass deportations of migrants, saying, quote, "We're going to start with the criminal element," and planning pardons for January 6 defendants, a stark reminder of how his last term in office ended, a second impeachment, 4 criminal cases with 1 trial ending in conviction, 2 attempted assassinations, and a resounding election victory later. President-elect Trump and the nation now preparing for his historic return to power.
President-elect Trump is expected to sign more than 50 executive orders today. Top of the list is going to be immigration, border-related issues, and then he's also planning to roll back a number of Biden administration policies, particularly on climate change. According to a Trump transition source, he's going to sign several of these orders in front of the crowd at Capital One Arena. From the U.S. Capitol, I'm Alice Barr. Send it back to you.
Alice, here in Southern California, we're preparing for President-elect Trump to tour the wildfire-damaged areas. Do you have any further information about that visit? Who might be joining him?
We do know, according to a phone interview that President-elect Trump did with NBC's Kristen Welker over the weekend, he said he will probably be headed to the Los Angeles wildfire zone at the end of this coming week. He did acknowledge in that interview that he has not yet spoken with Governor Gavin Newsom. He said he had thought about going earlier, perhaps at the end of last week, but that he thought it would be more appropriate to go as president. We know he's made a lot of comments about what's been going on in your region, and now he's saying he's going to be there on the ground to see it for himself.
Right, Alice Barr reporting live from Washington this morning. Thank you.
And the threat of more fires continues. So a checklist for you today. Have an evacuation plan. A reminder, most of Southern California is under this red flag warning. Charge your devices. These winds powerful enough to bring down trees and power lines. Secure any loose outdoor items. This morning is that time frame. It's small, but it's there. If you have to step outside today, wear a mask and N95. There is an air quality alert in effect, and stay informed with NBC LA. Let me show you what's happening to the temperatures, because in areas where, you know what, the winds aren't quite kicking up yet, it is cold. We've got 20s up in the deserts, Big Bear 21, 40s and 50s at a lower elevation, so it is a chilly start, and it is still a humid start. So relative humidity is still doing good right now, about 80% and even 90% in the valleys and Inland Empire. And this is where we're headed today. It's going to be a cool, windy afternoon with temperatures mostly in the 60s. And although we do have some cloud cover this morning, once these winds ramp up, it's going to scour out the clouds, and we're going to have bright sunny skies. 50s in the deserts and Big Bear, 36 degrees. But again, the main headline continues to be this fire danger. And now the 3rd time this month that the National Weather Service has issued a particularly dangerous situation. The red flag warning starts at noon. The timing for this most crucial and highest risk for fires is going to be from noon to 10 a.m. tomorrow, and this will mostly affect the LA Ventura County area. So a reminder to have that evacuation plan and that go bag ready. Red flag warning and also a high wind warning in effect for most of our inland locations, the mountains, the Ventura County mountains. This is in place today and tomorrow. So a reminder that hazardous travel conditions are possible, especially for high profile vehicles. Give yourself space from them. And if you're a driver of one of those, maybe you want to adjust your travel plans. Now I want to show you something that's interesting to me, because I'll take a look at the humidity this morning, and we're very humid out there. Now Now, as we go throughout the day, look at how the humidity plummets. Here we are at 1 p.m. looking at humidity inland in the teens. Now, in the overnight, there's not going to be any recovery. That humidity will stay bone dry. And look at the humidity tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're expecting for that humidity to drop to about 2% and Hemet in Temecula in the single digits. So unfortunately, the humidity dropping today. And if we take a look at the humidity forecast over the next 7 days, it's going to stay low. Tomorrow, it's going to be in the single digits. And look at Wednesday, Thursday, no recovery. Friday is going to be another dry day. So this is an indication for us that, yes, we have the winds picking up today, but that offshore flow will continue for the rest of the week. In fact, there's a potential for another Santa Ana wind event Wednesday, Thursday into Friday. So it's going to be a dry week ahead. I hope you enjoyed the quieter, more humid weekend, because that's all going to change again as the work week gets going. The temperatures will gradually warm into the 70s for the Basin Orange County. At the coast, the temperatures in the 60s and 70s at the end of the week. The valleys, the Inland Empire, notice how we have a windy icon for almost every single day. By the end of the week, these downsloping winds are going to help warm our temperatures to close to 80 degrees. That's crazy. It's January. Look at the deserts. Windy today, temperatures warming to almost 70 at the end of the week. The low desert in the upper 60s, calm winds now, but the winds increasing in the coming days. And here's the forecast for the mountains. No snow, unfortunately, just more drying winds. Please be safe, everyone. Here's Robin with traffic.
Good morning. We're off to the 405 with better news. All lanes open here southbound 405 at the Devonshire exit. We had a crash involving several vehicles. There was one facing the wrong way. It was all blocking the left lane. Cleared quickly. Now we're back to smooth sailing here for the 405. The 118 looks great. No problems for the 14 or the 5 leaving the Santa Clarita Valley. What about the drive on the 210? That's off to a good start. Get on out there now. It's going to start picking up soon. 17 minutes. Glendora to the 134 split. The 10 wide open for that travel going west all the way into East LA. No problems for the 60. A quick 20-minute trip here, making your way from Diamond Bar over to the 5. That's going to be a good connection. And coming from Carson, South LA, heading toward downtown LA. The 110 is in good shape all the way up to the 101 split. The 710 looks great leaving Long Beach this morning, and no trouble spots, at least not yet, here on the 605. Just under 20 minutes out of Rossmore from the 405 heading up to the 60. We'll check more freeways and drive times coming up a little later. Michelle, Adrian, back to you.
Robin, thank you. Costco's unionized workers set to strike.
We'll take a look at the vote, their demands, and how soon they could walk off the job. Plus, the Oscar goes to... Details on when the nominations will be announced. You're watching Today in LA. It's 4:24 on this Monday morning. We'll be right back. 4:26 right now. Unionized Costco workers are voting in favor of a strike as discussions continue for a new labor deal. 85% of Costco Teamsters nationwide voted for the strike. Teamsters represent around 18,000 of Costco's 333,000 workers. Its current labor contract is set to expire at the end of the month. We've reached out to Costco for comment, but so far we have not heard back.
Oscar nominations will be announced this week. The wildfires pushed back voting and the original announcement, which was supposed to happen last Friday. Nominations will now take place Thursday morning, and we will bring them to you live here on Today in LA. Now, lead contenders for Best Picture include The Brutalist, Conclave, and Emilia Perez. I just saw that over the weekend, which won big at the Golden Globes. Conan O'Brien will host this year's ceremony, which is scheduled to take place on March 2nd.
Right, still had the return of Santa Ana winds and extreme fire danger.
The possible power shutoffs in the name of safety and the neighborhoods on high alert.
And good morning, I'm John Kenny-Sleemack. We're live in Pasadena this morning. We're a little bit later this morning. We're going to be talking about the dangers that this new wind poses, the threats that you have to keep in mind coming up.
Now at 4:30, extreme fire danger. The flag's not waving just yet, but that will change in just a matter of hours when a new red flag warning begins and the added factor has firefighters on alert.
NBC News. This is a special report. Here's Savannah Guthrie and Craig Melvin.
Hi there, everybody. Good morning. We come on the air with breaking news. President Biden, in his final hours, his final morning in office, has issued several high-profile pardons.
Among those pardoned this morning, Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, and the members and staff who served on the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol, including Liz Cheney.
And police officers who have spoken out as well from the Capitol Police. Let's go right to Chief White House Correspondent Peter Alexander. This just broke 10 minutes ago. Peter, what do you know?
Savannah, as NBC News first reported, President Biden, even yesterday, I'm told, was very seriously considering using this extraordinary presidential power to preemptively pardon some individuals. And this morning, as we are reporting, it is clear that he has decided to do just that in these final hours in office to guard against any potential revenge by the incoming Trump administration, by the incoming President Trump. President Biden just announcing, as you note, that he is pardoning Dr. Anthony Fauci, retired General Mark Milley, and members of the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol. That includes Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, Adam Kinzinger, among others, as well as Capitol and D.C. police who testified before that committee. I want to share with you part of what the president writes. He says, in part, our nation relies on dedicated, selfless public servants every day. They are the lifeblood of our democracy. Yet alarmingly, he adds, public servants have been subjected to ongoing threats and intimidation for faithfully discharging their duties. Notably, his last comments in this statement add that these pardons, he says, should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that any individual engaged in any wrongdoing, he says, nor should acceptance by them be misconstrued as any admission of guilt for any offense. He says our nation, quote, owes these public servants a debt of gratitude for their tireless commitment to our country. Now, let's back up for a moment. President Trump, incoming President Trump, as you know, has been a fierce critic and has really railed against so many of those individuals that are receiving these pardons today. Most recently, in late December of last year, Donald Trump verbally attacked Liz Cheney, saying that she committed, quote, egregious and unthinkable acts of crime. That was December 22nd, less than a month ago. Of Mark Milley, in the past, he suggested that he deserved execution, and the fact that some of the actions he had taken in the past would have been worthy of execution. So to be clear, Joe Biden, some of his final actions now to preemptively pardon some of those high-profile figures. Savannah.
All right, we want to turn now to Kristen Welker, moderator of Meet the Press, and Hallie Jackson, NBC's senior Washington correspondent. Peter really raises the point that needs to be made here. There were sometimes explicit, sometimes implicit threats, serious threats against Liz Cheney, Mark Milley, and others by Trump or by members of his team. So this pardon potentially has real-life consequences for these individuals.
It absolutely does. When I interviewed President-elect Trump in December, he was quite clear. He said, I think members of the January 6th committee should go to jail. He did not mince words. I said, you think Liz Cheney should go to jail? He said, yes. Never said what the crime was, by the way, and since then has not laid out the crime. What's notable is that you have committee members like a Liz Cheney, like Senator Adam Schiff saying, we didn't do anything wrong. We don't want a pardon. But here's the key thing to know. Once the president issues these pardons, that's it. You don't get to reject it. The pardon is there. And so this is a significant historic moment because it speaks to the concerns about the threats of legal repercussions that the January 6th committee and all of the other folks, General Mark Milley, might be facing. Remember that tweet? You said not sometimes threats very clear against Mark Milley, saying that he should, in effect, be executed for treason. So this is a significant moment because I think it does underscore the very real concerns about what might happen.
And again, Hallie, all of this unfolding in just the last 10 minutes. So I know we don't probably have a great deal of reaction from some of these folks who've been pardoned yet, but are we hearing anything at all from?
A little bit. I can tell you that I just spoke with somebody connected to the events of January 6th who is subject to receiving this pardon, who said that it was one of the lines that President Biden talked about, that these individuals did nothing wrong, that really resonated with this person who only found out about this sort of through the grapevine, has not officially heard from the White House yet, just in the overnight hours here. So to your point, Craig, this is all moving quickly. It is not altogether unexpected. Kristen talks about this being a significant legal point, a significant legal milestone. It is also significant politically. Remember that one of the things that Democrats campaigned on for months was this idea that President-elect Trump, who was then a candidate, could enact political revenge on people he considered quote-unquote enemies. Remember that his incoming FBI director, if in fact Kash Patel is confirmed, wrote a book and in it put an appendix
appendix of dozens of people who he described as members of the deep state, which also raised that concern. Kristen, you're reporting this morning on confirming that there will be more than 50 people who may have their national security clearances revoked because of concerns raised about their involvement in sort of tossing down the Hunter Biden laptop story. So there's a lot here that I think Democrats are concerned about. It's not an unexpected move, but it is a big deal by President Biden.
On a day like this, that rare day when we have two presidents in one day, we have President Biden issuing pardons on the way out, President-elect Trump saying he may issue some pardons on the way in. You hear about executive orders. Just to be clear, this pardon power that the Constitution provides the president is sweeping, it is complete, and it cannot be undone by the next president. So if you're wondering, could President Trump unpardon those pardons today?
No.
No. The answer is no. That concludes this NBC News special report. Stay with NBC News for more throughout the day. We'll return most of you now to the Today Show.
All right, so that was a special report from NBC News. President Biden issuing pardons, preemptive pardons for people like Dr. Fauci, Liz Cheney, folks who are participating in that January 6th committee. And again, they made the point over and over again, once somebody receives a pardon, it cannot be revoked.
Quite a presidential flex from President Biden, the final hours of his presidency and just hours before Trump takes office. So we will be following these developments throughout the day, and quite an announcement and quite a big news day today. Good morning. It's Monday, January 20th. Let's take a live look outside from downtown LA. I believe we have a picture here. There it goes. Kind of dark right now.
Looks calm right now, yeah, at 437, but the winds are back.
Yeah.
That means the extreme fire danger is back, and so we want to check in with meteorologist Belen de Leon.
Yeah, a lot of parks are even closed because of this. I think Lauren Coronado mentioned 8 of them for preemptive safety measures.
Yeah, we're looking at these winds, and they're going to be strong once again, potentially reaching speeds up to 100 miles per hour. So the National Weather Service has issued yet again for the 3rd time this month a particularly dangerous situation, and I'll show you which areas we are looking at and that are of the greatest concern in just a minute. But once again, this map, we've been seeing it every week, multiple days out of the week. It's a red flag warning. That means fire danger is elevated. Today, it's not just elevated, it's critical. That means if any fires were to start, they would quickly start and they would rapidly spread. This starts at 10 a.m. and it goes through 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So the combination of these very strong, potentially damaging winds, very low humidity, probably the lowest humidity we've had all season, that's going to be taking over as we head into tomorrow, and very, very, very dry vegetation, with many places experiencing their driest winter so far and are ranked at #1. But there is an area there we have the greatest concern, and this is a spot that's under a particularly dangerous situation red flag warning. So the red flag warning starts for most at 8 a.m., but notice how the time frame for these conditions is going to start at noon, and it's going to go through 10 a.m. tomorrow. So this is for the San Gabriel Mountains, through the I-5 corridor, over to Ventura County, from the mountains out towards the coast, the western Santa Monica Mountains, and also the northern and western San Fernando Valley. That includes the 210 and the 118 corridor. Now, as those winds increase, unfortunately, it's going to kick up the air quality. So this has been a big concern since the beginning of the month when the fires started. And now that the winds are expected to increase, we all have the risk of seeing wind-blown dust and ash. This is for LA County, Orange County, the Inland Empire, over to the San Bernardino area. So today, if you have to step outdoors, bring a mask with you. Now, I know this camera is really dark. This is our Mount Wilson camera. We have all these clouds in the distance. As the winds increase, those clouds will scour out, and we're going to get to these really strong winds. I'll be back to time it out for you. Right now, guys, back to you at the desk.
All right, thank you very much, Belen. With the dangerous fire weather, you will want to be prepared to evacuate just in case.
That's right. Strong winds like the ones we will be experiencing and expecting would quickly push the fires into the Pacific Palisades and Altadena just a few weeks ago.
NBC4's John Kadis-Klimak is live in Pasadena, where officials will be holding a news conference this morning about these dangerous conditions, John.
Hey, good morning, guys. Really the base camp here at the Rose Bowl. This is where a lot of the firefighters have been resting between their shifts, going out onto the mountainsides. We're talking about this new round of wind that's coming in, this critical fire weather that they're calling it, with the concern that we could see once again these winds pick up and potentially pick up some of these embers that are still burning in some of these areas. But it was nearly 2 weeks ago when the fires came through and did so much damage to the Palisades and Altadena. This weekend finally got some calm, but as this recovery process moves forward, it might be a short-lived respite. Later this morning, a red flag warning goes back into effect, and it goes through the night into tomorrow, a particularly dangerous situation, according to meteorologists, because of the projected high winds combined with the dry humidity. These are the same conditions that fueled the Palisades and Eaton fires.
A lot of wind, again, adding to lowering the fuel moisture content, increasing the fire danger. So it's extremely dangerous right now. And we saw what happened. And even if we didn't have winds, I would say there's a threat because it can be a topography-driven fire.
Now, the Eaton fire burned more than 14,000 acres. It is now 81% contained. That's good news in all of this. Hopefully the winds won't pick up anything that is still burning. But again, this critical fire weather that we're expected to have once again, that red flag warning going into effect later this morning. And at 8 o'clock this morning, right where we're standing, we're going to be seeing some of the officials from the fire department come and talk about what this danger means and how to prepare yourself, because it could potentially happen again. Reporting live this morning in Pasadena, I'm John Kelly-Sklemak, today in LA.
John, thank you for that. 4:41 right now. Next, it's for a risky rescue. How firefighters were able to save a dog stuck in a very snug spot. You're watching Today in LA. We'll be right back.
The wildfires are impacting the high-profile Menendez brothers case, and because of the fires, their resentencing hearing is being pushed back. The brothers are accused of murdering their parents 36 years ago. The LA Superior Court judge met with prosecutors and defense attorneys on Friday. They decided to move the January 30th hearing to March 20th and March 21st.
Well, firefighters in Duarte jumped into action to help a dog who found herself in a tight spot. Fluffy, a blind and deaf dog, had fallen into a storm drain last night. Well, firefighters and members of their urban search and rescue team lowered themselves into the drain, and they managed to find her. They quickly reunited her with her very relieved owner. So great job by them. And man, there's some pictures of that moment. There's Fluffy.
Oh, look at Fluffy. Oh my goodness. The firefighters, just tremendous heroes. They keep going and going and going.
Stepping up again and again.
Well, after the break, growing concern. The health emergency unfolding at one fire evacuation center.
And it's now been 13 days since the Palisades fire began here. And finally, for the first time, some people who live in the Highlands are able to see their homes. We'll tell you how the checkpoints and the escorts work coming up.
4:47 right now. Containment of the Palisades fire is now up to 56%, but the danger is far from being over yet as Santa Ana winds return today.
However, more people are now able to access their neighborhoods to see if their home remains standing. Let's go to NBC4's Brittany Hope, live again at one of the checkpoints, this time in Santa Monica, where residents, Brittany, have to wait to be escorted into the fire zone. We know this has been an ongoing issue. What's the latest today?
Yeah, hi, Michelle, Adrian, good morning. So for some more context, we're here in Lot 3 North on PCH. That's right between the Santa Monica Pier to our south and the California Incline to our north. Now, I know it's a little dark outside, but I'm sure you can see all those reflectors from the traffic cones behind me taking over the parking lot. At 10 o'clock this morning, escorts will start up again for some who live in the Highlands, and those makeshift traffic lanes will be packed with families who, yes, they just want to get home. For many, they have not been able to see their neighborhoods, to see the impacts of the Palisades fire since they evacuated on January 7th, nearly 2 weeks ago. These long lines of cars filled this beachside parking lot turned checkpoint yesterday. These law enforcement escorts are happening every day now from 10 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. Words like cautiously optimistic, stressful. Those were just some of the feelings we heard here from those finally able to make their way back up the hill to the Highlands.
We're living with friends, we're staying with friend's house and we had no clothes. I mean, that particular day I was at work and I had the clothes on my back. And luckily we have lots of good friends and they've been helping us and shopping at Marshall's, et cetera, et cetera. So, but we'd like to see the house.
And so many want to see their homes. Much of the burn area, though, in the Palisades fire is still under mandatory evacuation orders, and people who live in a lot of areas are still not able to get that escort. Fire officials say it's still too dangerous in some neighborhoods with downed power lines, unstable hillsides that they need to check out, and trees and buildings that are still smoldering. And back out here live, a reminder, when you do come to this checkpoint, you need a government-issued photo ID that shows your address. Let's say you just moved and your ID isn't updated yet. Bring your ID, but also bring a utility bill that shows your address. Bring your proof of ownership. You have to bring documentation that shows you live here. A reminder, though, you don't want to get too comfortable with those winds that will be kicking up later today. It is very possible that things could change if the conditions do flare up again. So, as always, just stay updated with us here, and we will always have the very latest. We're live in Santa Monica. Brittany Hope for Today in LA.
Great point. We are under a dust and ash advisory. Brittany, thank you so much. And as if these folks haven't gone through enough already, a norovirus outbreak has been reported at a Pasadena wildfire evacuation shelter. Public health officials say at least 3 cases have been confirmed at the Pasadena Convention Center. Norovirus is a very contagious illness that causes vomiting and diarrhea. The department said it will install more hand washing stations and implement more frequent cleanings to kill the virus.
All right, yeah, it's just tough to hear about that because we know that these folks are going through an extremely tough time, and then it's like just cannot seem to catch a break. So we're going to bring in Belen De Leon right now because, Belen, you've been documenting for us the return of the strong winds, and that means that the fire danger is going to be elevated. And you had asked, Belen, this is the most extreme warning that there can be, correct?
From the National Weather Service.
Yeah. Exactly. Whenever we hear PDS, it's basically the National Weather Service trying to tell us as loud as they can, guys, you got to pay attention, because not only do we have those strong winds in play, we have the low relative humidity, but now the dryness in our vegetation is starting to compound. We have low record fuel moisture out there, and that is just fuel for all of these fires to burn and unfortunately to grow out of control. So we're checking out the view right now from our exclusive USS Iowa ship, Battleship Iowa camera. We've got the marine layer, but we're talking about the winds returning. We are seeing clouds in the sky. The humidity right now is doing good, but once these winds activate, the humidity is going to drop and it's going to clear out all that cloud cover. The winds are expected to strengthen through the middle of the day, and then we're going to see them peak as we head through this evening and through early tomorrow morning. And the reason why that is crucial, January 7th, whenever we had the big fire at the Palisades fire that started in the overnight hours, that grew out of control, and a lot of people weren't able to leave their home with enough time. So we're telling you, with enough time, make sure you have an evacuation plan ready and that you have your emergency go plan ready to go. These winds are not going to weaken as we get until tomorrow. That's when they start to weaken throughout the day, and then the rest of the week, just have that evacuation plan and that go bag ready to go, because we're going to continue to see more dry weather and more winds in our forecast. Look at the outlook across our area. We're in the extreme category. Again, to what Michelle was saying, this is the highest level that you can get. This is for the LA, Ventura County mountains. It also correlates with the area that's under that particularly dangerous situation. It's a heightened alert within that red flag warning that covers for most of California, most of our area, Southern California. That's the area that really is under that PDS warning. So right now we have fire weather in the forecast. What should you do? You create defensible space. Hopefully you had time to do that. You still have time to do that this morning before the winds ramp up. Assemble that emergency kit and review your emergency plan. Now look at the gusts in Simi Valley, where gradually these winds are going to ramp up, and then we get to the middle of the morning, gusts up to 50 miles per hour and close to 60 miles per hour during the early afternoon. And that's not even when we're going to get to the strongest winds. Look at the winds and how they develop as we go throughout the middle of the day, blowing from the deserts all the way out towards the coast. This is a similar setup to what we had in early January when we had the Palisades fire start. And the other thing I want want to point out is when we look at wind shelter locations, what I'm seeing is that we're going to see these winds hit places that don't usually see these winds, and that's a concern. Look at Long Beach, looking at some strong gusts during the afternoon. So the drive this afternoon is going to be a hazardous one as you're trying to get home. This morning things are good, but the crosswinds are an issue as we get into later today. And then here we are looking at the weather to tomorrow morning. Those strong winds still holding on, but lighter compared to what we're going to have throughout the evening tonight. And then here we are tomorrow afternoon. So on top of the red flag warning, we have a high wind warning. We've got air quality alerts in effect. So the best bet is to not travel if you don't have to. Don't be outside if you don't have to, not only because of the strong winds, but also because the air quality is not going to be good, and we could see some downed trees and power outages, so make sure you charge your devices and stay informed. We're going to have our First Alert weather team working around the clock for you, because notice in our forecast there's no rain. We just got a lot of wind today, tomorrow, then another round Wednesday and Thursday. The forecast in the valleys and Inland Empire, 60s today, cold morning, but gradually during the week the numbers are going to re-rise and close to 80 degrees on Thursday. The weather in the deserts, watch out for blowing dust. We're going to have those winds activated today, and in the mountains, watch out for those crosswinds. This is where we could see those peak gusts range between 80 to 100 miles per hour. So avoid travel in the mountains if you can. That's your forecast. Now to traffic. Here's Robin.
Good morning. For folks hitting the road, we're taking a trip over to the 101 because we have a crash here in the clearing stages. It's southbound 101 approaching Highland. This is where a driver spun out, crashed into a pole. So we also have traffic breaks underway, meaning CHP holding everyone back temporarily to deal with this accident. Overall, it's still very quiet and smooth as you work your way out of Universal City toward Hollywood and continuing down toward downtown LA. The drive time for the 5 in the northbound direction has not changed. We're under 15 minutes from the 605 to the 10. 710 looks great from Long Beach to Alhambra. No problems for the 605. Under 20 minutes for the drive to make it up to the 10. The 10 going west from East LA to West LA. That is quiet and trouble-free. Good news for the 60. The commute leaving Diamond Bar this morning, moving well in both directions. So east and west travel between the 57 and the 10, quick at 20 minutes. It's a great time to commute. Beat the rush. Today in LA returns after the break. Stay with us.
Well, it's just about 5 a.m. The dry conditions, the dangerous wind gusts, and we've got a critical threat for new fires.
It feels like unwelcome deja vu for so many of us, but are you ready? Our First Alert team is preparing you for another red flag warning this week.
And we are going to make America great again.
And back for a second term, incoming President Donald Trump rallies supporters ahead of his historic return to the White House. What he's planning on his first day in office.
Today in LA at 5 starts now.
Good morning. It's Monday, January 20th as we take this live look outside at downtown LA. Calm right now, but that's going to change in just a matter of hours. We hope you had a good weekend, and thank you for joining us. Good morning to you. I'm Adrian Arampulo.
And good morning. I'm Michelle Vias in for Lynette. We have some dangerous winds to talk about this morning. Let's go ahead and send it on over to meteorologist Belen de Leon. In a good way, it's good on this inauguration day and MLK Day that some folks are off from school and work to prepare for what might be headed our way.
I agree, and I think based on our forecast over the past few weeks, people are more alert when it comes to this fire threat. So once again, we're taking a look at this map. It's a red flag warning that has been in effect for more days than not in January, because we continue to see this pattern of very strong winds over Southern California that is reducing our humidity and no rain. So our vegetation just continues to dry out, and all of these ingredients are compounding to create this critical to extreme fire conditions across Southern California. So here you see the red flag warning starting at 8 a.m. lasting through 2 o'clock tomorrow. That is a time frame when we're going to have the strongest winds, the lowest humidity, and the greatest risk of seeing any fires not only start but also spread out of control. And for the third time this month, the National Weather Service has issued within that red flag warning a particularly dangerous situation that covers the LA County mountains, the I-5 corridor, the 118, the 210 corridor, most of Ventura County, and also the western Santa Monica mountains. This is going to be from noon through 10 a.m. tomorrow. So that is the area's greatest concern where we could see some explosive fire growth. Now let's talk about these temperatures. It's a chilly morning. The winds aren't activated just yet. We've got 20s in the desert. In the mountains, we've got teens, 40s and 50s everywhere else. So we're bundling up as we're starting off the day. And if you step outside, it feels a little humid. That is going to change. As these winds activate, it's going to clear our skies. It's going to cause our humidity to plummet. And it's going to cause these cool temperatures to feel blustery. So bundle up, everyone, and coming up, I'm going to time out the winds. Right now, let's check on the drive. The winds are going to impact that too, Robin.
Absolutely. So be on the lookout for debris, objects scattered across the road. We tend to see that a lot when it's windy out there. Right now, we're looking pretty good. We do have one little trouble spot on the map here as you work your way into San Dimas. So this is a 57, and it's northbound right around the Villa Verde exit. Just got word of a crash here blocking the 2 right lanes. So CHP rolling out to the scene. No significant slowing. For now, your drive time is under 20 minutes for both directions, north and south, between the 10 split and the down to the Orange Crest. 605 looks great between the 10 and the 105. So does the 710. Trouble-free in under 20 minutes. We'll check more freeways and drive times coming up in a little bit. Michelle, Adrian, back to you.
Thank you, Robin. The Santa Ana winds will ramp up once again, big time, and local leaders are taking precautions to try and prevent any new fires from starting.
NBC4's Lauren Coronado's live at Griffith Park, one of several LA area parks that'll be closed today. Really highlights the concern and the threat, Lauren.
Adrian, Michelle, good morning. We don't see this too often during red flag warnings where the city decides to close down dozens of parks, including Griffith Park, where we're at right now. I want to get straight to video just up the road where the closure is. We're already seeing a lot of cars get turned around. This is at Ferndale Road, which turns into Western Canyon Road, just off Los Feliz Boulevard. You'll hit this road closure sign, and like I said, a lot of cars already getting turned around. Now let's get to a list of other park closures as the city tries to lower the chance for wildfires. We're talking about Aliso Canyon Park, Coldwater Canyon, Elysian Park, Runyon Canyon, Hanson Dam, Laurel Canyon, and the Dog Park, Porter Ranch Park. But like I said, there are dozens of other parks like these being closed. For a full list, visit laparks.org. And with the increased chance for fires comes the chance for public safety power shutoffs. LADWP is warning its customers of possible shutoffs. They may have to cut their power, of course, to help prevent equipment from getting damaged in the wind and sparking a fire. SCE is doing the same. Here's a live look at SCE customers who are being considered for a public safety power shutoff, nearly 250,000. Some reminders from SCE: you should have the following items on hand. A first aid kit with medications, of course, bottled water, a gallon per person per day if you can, flashlights and batteries, including a rechargeable battery pack, non-perishable food, coolers and ice chests to store food if you're dealing with a lengthy outage, of course, special needs items for infants, the elderly, or the disabled, and a battery-operated radio so you can stay up to date with any new alerts. Right now, conditions aren't too bad. You can tell it's not even breezy, but we know that those winds will increase throughout the day. We'll bring you another live update in the next hour. Reporting live, I'm Lauren Coronado for Today in LA.
Important warnings there, Lauren. Thank you so much. CAL FIRE says it's positioning hundreds of resources ahead of this next round of strong wind. Meanwhile, firefighters continue to make good progress on the Palisades fire. The latest, the fire now 56% contained, has burned more than 23,000 acres. More than 12,000 homes and other buildings remain threatened. 5,800 were destroyed. And yesterday, people who live in the Palisades Highlands were allowed to return home to their neighborhoods to access their homes with police escorts.
Yeah, we haven't been in, but luckily for all our little neighborhoods still intact. But we don't know what the smoke damage, what not will be.
Reporter Brittany Hope is back out there today. Daily escorts resume at 10 o'clock this morning for people who live in the Highlands.
In Altadena, more people are waking up at home this morning. Evacuation orders were lifted for some areas. though thousands of other people are still waiting to hear when they can go back to their neighborhoods, and many don't have a home to go to. More than 10,000 homes, businesses, schools, churches, and other structures were damaged or destroyed. Fire's not active anymore. Firefighters are working on getting a line around that fire, and they're doing a good job. Now 81% contained. A man and woman are in custody for impersonating firefighters in the Palisades fire zone. The LA County Sheriff's Department says the two were driving around in a vehicle that looked like a fire engine. They were also wearing fire gear and had radios. This case will now be presented to the LA County District Attorney so that he can consider charges.
The first group of Palestinian prisoners has been released from an Israeli prison in the occupied West Bank as part of the ceasefire deal. According to the Israeli Prison Service, 90 prisoners and detainees, all women and children, were released overnight. Scores of cheering Palestinians surrounded that large bus as it exited the gates of the Israeli prison in the West Gate. We spoke to Professor Benjamin Rad, a political scientist at UCLA, about the ceasefire deal and what has to happen for this deal not to fall apart.
Both sides have to have trust, and they have to have trust not necessarily in each other, because that's been long since gone, but in the mediators and the negotiators who are facilitating this deal. So that's the United States, the Europeans, local Arab partners as well, who have to make sure that both sides are holding to the terms of the deal.
The release of the Palestinian prisoners came after 3 women Israeli hostages were freed from Hamas captivity in Gaza and returned to Israel.
5:08 right now. President-elect Donald Trump is just hours away from being sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. And this is a live picture from Washington, D.C. Donald and Melania Trump are getting ready to visit the historic St. John's Church. They'll start their day off with a private service, then they'll meet with the Bidens at the White House. Yesterday, Trump held a rally with his supporters.
We have to set our country on the proper course. The invasion of our borders will have come to a halt, and all the illegal border trespassers will in some form or another be on their way back home.
Mr. Trump also told the crowd that he will visit L.A. on Friday to see the damage from the wildfires. After he's sworn in today, he's expected to sign 50 to 100 executive orders. Many will reverse or eliminate ones implemented by the Biden administration. In addition to reinstating immigration policies from his first term, Mr. Trump expected to declare a national emergency on energy. He wants to approve new drilling, pipelines, refineries, and power plants. He's expected to rescind federal government policies on diversity, equity, and inclusion. The executive orders will likely face legal challenges.
Time 5:09 and breaking news. Just hours before Donald Trump is sworn in, President Biden issued preemptive pardons just a short time ago. They include Dr. Anthony Fauci, retired General Mark Milley, and members of the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol and the U.S. Capitol, and D.C. Metro police officers also who testified before that committee. President Biden's decision comes after Trump warned of an enemies list filled with those who have crossed him politically.
Tracking Santa Ana winds once again. This event stronger than the last one. Today and tomorrow is when we're going to feel them. The strength this time around between 50 to 70 miles per hour, but in the mountains 60 to 80 miles per hour, and not out of the question to get some isolated gusts up to 100 miles per hour. We have extreme fire risk with a particularly dangerous situation issued by the National Weather Service. That means that fires can start and spread rapidly. And with this forecast, long-range spotting is a possibility. That means that those embers or any kind of ignition source, if a fire was to start, could be carried long distances, which is what we saw with the Eaton fire. Other impacts, down trees and power outages and hazardous travel. There's a high wind warning issued along with this red flag warning. Now look at the winds hour by hour. Over in Orange County, Santa Ana, your morning's going to start off quiet, but then gradually as you step into the afternoon hours, those winds are going to pick up speed. Out of nowhere, they're going to be gusting upwards of 40 miles miles per hour, and there's going to stay there throughout the afternoon. So we're going to see the winds increasing through the middle of the day. Here we are looking at the weather at lunchtime, and you see those typical Santa Ana wind-prone spots. But after that time, I'll show you what gets my attention, is that we start to feel those winds in wind shelter locations. I'm looking at Altadena, I'm looking at Los Angeles, and I'm looking over at Long Beach. So those strong winds expected to impact that area. Winds will be peaking late this afternoon, evening, and into tomorrow morning. And that is a big concern because many tend to just disconnect and not be informed with what's happening around them. But if we've learned anything in these past weeks, is that you have to stay informed, especially in the overnight hours when these fires can start. And we need to get a way to let you guys know. Here we are looking at the weather tomorrow morning. Winds still holding strong. They'll gradually diminish as the day goes on. The strong winds also causing some air quality concerns, so I'll be back to take a look at an alert that's been issued. Right now, let's check on any traffic alerts. Here's Robin.
Good morning. Well, we do have one crash that's wrapping up, and CHP may have to run a traffic break to clear this off to the side because the traffic is coming in a little too hot, and they may have to slow everyone down in order to clear this over to the shoulder. It's in San Dimas. It's the northbound side of the 57, right around Villa Verde. That's where they're working with this crash that has the 2 right lanes blocked. No significant slowing, but if they run a traffic break and hold you back, of course, you're going to be stuck for a bit. So get out there early. Checking in on some other drive times from my friends leaving the Inland Empire. Good morning to you. The 215 wide open from the 74 up to the 91. The 91 rolling west. That's looking good from Riverside off to Buena Park, and no problems for the 60. That's moving well. Under 25 minutes coming out of Riverside, heading over to the 57 connector in Diamond Bar. 57 is wide open through the OC. 605 looks good from the 10 to the 105, and no problems for the 710 between Alhambra and Long Beach. You're good to go. Adrian, back to you.
Robin, thank you. 5:12 right now. Next at 5, a deadly collision involving a self-driving taxi. What we're learning about the first of its kind case for Waymo and other crashes that it's reported before.
Plus, TikTok is back, but for how long? Did you miss it? Well, President Trump's plan will do for those scrolls and swipes.
And it is a smart move to mask up today. The renewed warning about our air quality now that winds are returning just days after those catastrophic wildfires. You're watching Today in LA. It's 5:13 on this Monday morning. We'll be right back. 5:15 right now. An unoccupied driverless Waymo taxi was one of 6 cars involved in the deadly crash in San Francisco. Another person in a different car, along with a dog, were killed. And then another person was taken to a hospital with serious injuries. Investigators are looking to whether the driver who caused the crash was also involved in the series of hit and runs on a freeway moments earlier. Self-driving car companies like Waymo must report each time their vehicles are involved in crashes. Waymo notes that nearly all of them, including this one, were the fault of other cars driven by people.
TikTok is back up and running after going dark Saturday night. The social media company said it would restore service to U.S. users after President-elect Trump provided assurances necessary to the company's service providers. Trump posted to Truth Social calling for the app to remain available and that he wanted it to be available to broadcast his inauguration. The president-elect says he plans to issue an executive order to delay when the law banning TikTok would go into effect for 90 days.
5:17 right now, a live look from our camera at top of Mount Wilson. Obviously very dark out there still, very early, but we are tracking the return of strong winds and critical fire danger, and because of that, the Angeles National Forest is extending its closure through Friday. No one will be allowed to go in any part of the forest or the trails. That includes the San Gabriel Mountains National Monument. And an important reminder to be aware of what's in our air. The recent wildfires have put ash and toxic pollutants in the atmosphere. So your best defense from breathing in that pollution is wearing an N95 mask when you're outdoors. And while you're inside, run an air purifier if you have one. We do want to check in with meteorologist Belen de Leon, timing out the return of these winds. Belen.
And I'll start off with that air quality alert. You'll notice that it affects most of LA County, Orange County, the Inland Empire, the San Bernardino Valley. So take these precautions today and tomorrow. Step outside. If you're going to be out there for an extended period of time, then bring that mask with you because the air quality is not going to be good. We have a red flag warning in effect for most of Southern California, and within that red flag warning, an area, an embedded, particularly dangerous situation that starts at noon today. It goes all the way through 10 a.m. tomorrow. So this is a time frame that the National Weather Service has seen that is going to be the most critical for these areas, which is going to be mostly LA and Ventura County. So have an evacuation plan and a go bag ready to go. Let's take a look at the wind gust estimates, because at the coastal locations, we could see those gusts reach speeds up to 30, 50 miles per hour. The valleys and IE, 50 to 70 mile per hour gusts are a possibility. And for the foothills and mountains, this is where we can't rule out the possibility of seeing some gusts up to 100 miles per hour in a few isolated areas. With winds that strong, yes, if any fires were to start, they would quickly blow out of control, and we could see long-range spotting. That means that embers from a fire that is burning could be carried over long distances. The other thing is that that's going to create some difficult travel condition, could bring down some trees and also cause some power outages. So charge your devices, careful where you park your car. You want to put it somewhere inside where it's nice and safe in a garage, and avoid travel if you can, especially if you drive a high-profile vehicle. Look at the current temperatures. Right now, we are cold. These winds haven't activated yet. We're in the 20s in the deserts and the mountains, 40s and 50s everywhere else. So it's a chilly morning. And when these winds get going, it's going to make these cool 60-degree temperatures feel blustery, especially if you're close to those locations with the strongest winds. Skies cloudy right now, but those clouds are going to clear out as those winds pick up. We're going to have temperatures in the 60s, 50s in the deserts, and Big Bear 36 degrees. Now, the other thing I want to point out, look at the humidity. Right now, we're doing good. We've got that marine layer, but as those winds increase, look at the humidity and how it drops throughout the day into the teens for Santa Clarita, for the Inland Empire. And then overnight through tomorrow morning, there's not going to be any recovery. In fact, for tomorrow, those winds are going to dry us out even more. Tomorrow, we're going to be in the single digits for most of the area, with the exception of our coastal locations. So this is a reason why our fire danger is so elevated through tomorrow. And when we take a look at the 7-day forecast, unfortunately, there's still no rain on the horizon. So the weather the rest of the week will continue to be dry. The humidity is going to dry out even more. Plus, we could see another round of winds Wednesday into Thursday. So 7-day forecast shows us in the 60s today, and then gradually we'll see those temperatures rise as these offshore winds just kind of make themselves at home. At the coast, 64 today. By Thursday, we'll have temperatures around 73. The forecast in the valleys and Inland Empire, 60s today. The rest of the week, those winds are going to continue on and off, especially as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday through the weekend, you notice the numbers come down. There's a system we're tracking that could bring us some rain. I'm not holding my breath. Anything is going to be very light, but we'll take it. The high desert, no change in the weather pattern there. It's still going to be chilly during the morning, windy throughout the afternoon. Watch out for blowing dust. And here you see the mountains. As I mentioned, isolated gusts up to 100 miles per hour. So around this time of year, I'm warning you about traveling to the mountains because of the snow and the icy conditions. Maybe you want to avoid travel because of those strong crosswinds. Be safe, everyone. Now here's Robin.
That is great advice. Looking pretty good on the roads. We're off to a quiet start. As we mentioned earlier, a lot of folks will be off today, and it's pretty light and quiet leaving the Inland Empire, at least for folks taking the 91 and the 15. The 15 from Oak Hill down to Corona, still holding at 39 minutes. What about the drive on the 91? That's wide open, 37 minutes to head west. That's to make it from Riverside and connect over to Buena Park. And the 5, the 14, Palmdale, Santa Clarita, Acton, the Newhall Pass, that's wide open at 33 minutes with no issues at all. From East LA to West LA, the 10 is moving well. The 210 looks good. Glendora off to Pasadena, and your drive on the 105. That's one of your connecting arteries to LAX, right? The 105, the 405, looking good. 16 minutes between the 605 split and connecting over to the airport. We do have a crash wrapping up in San Dimas, North 57 Via Verde. It's being cleared from the 2 right lanes. Watch out for some debris that's scattered across the lanes. We'll check back in coming up in a bit. Adrian, back to you.
Right. Thank you, Robin. 5:22 right now. If you'd like to help out with wildfire relief efforts, NBC4 is partnering with the American Red Cross to help people impacted. You can go to NBCLA.com or by calling that number right there on your screen. We'll be right back.
5:25. Good morning, everyone. Oscar nominations will be announced this week. The wildfires pushed back voting and the original announcement, which was supposed to happen last Friday. Nominations will now take place Thursday morning. We will, of course, bring them to you live right here on Today in LA. Now, lead contenders for Best Picture include The Brutalist, Conclave, and Emilia Perez, which won big at the Golden Globes. Conan O'Brien will host this year's ceremony, which is scheduled to take place on March 2nd.
Well, today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a time to honor the legacy of the civil rights icon. It also means a number of federal offices are closed. Public schools have the day off, as well as libraries, courthouses, city offices, the DMV. Post offices are closed, and postal workers will not be delivering mail, and most banks will be closed today as well. Here in LA, the 40th annual Kingdom Day Parade is postponed because of our wildfires. The King Day Committee says it was pushed back to focus on the recovery efforts. The parade has been now moved to February 17th.
But today is still a day on, not a day off, as they like to say. Still ahead, a new term for Trump. The incoming president is set to be inaugurated in just a few hours with big promises about changes.
We'll have a live report from Washington where the ceremony will happen indoors for the first time in 40 years.
And good morning from Santa Monica. We're standing in a parking lot where people who live in the Highlands will be able to come here starting at 10 o'clock to be escorted to their homes for the first time. We'll talk about how all of that works and how officials are preparing for another red flag warning.
It is now 5:30. Back on high alert. Southern California will once again see critical fire weather, reigniting concerns about what we saw just days ago.
From the Palisades fire to the Eden fire and the other fire sparking within days, we're getting you ready and tracking which neighborhoods are most at risk this time.
And back to the White House. The historic second term for incoming President Donald Trump is already off to a noticeable different start. The sweeping changes he's announcing for his first day in office.
Today in LA at 5 starts now.
So much to talk about. Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, January 20th, as we take a live look outside at Long Beach. It is 5:31. I'm Michelle Valles in for Lynette this morning.
And I'm Agent Arambula, and we're going to start off with meteorologist Belen de Leon tracking the return of these powerful winds, the fire danger. And Belen, you made a great point this morning. You said we still have a few more hours to get ready.
That's it.
Yeah.
The winds right now will show you what they're doing. They're not doing much. The humidity is doing good. It's kind of hard to believe that we are going to have these winds because, first of all, we have cloud cover out there. The marine layer is still going strong. But as these winds activate, it's going to scour out the clouds and it's going to drop the humidity. Most of us are under a red flag warning. This is a map we've been seeing too many days in January. And here we are, the third time this month that the National Weather Service has issued a particularly dangerous situation embedded within this red flag warning. So these winds are going to ramp up around the middle of the morning and then get really strong through the middle of the day. Expected to peak tonight into tomorrow morning. This red flag warning will continue until 2 p.m. We're expecting these gusts to reach up to 65 miles per hour, but not out of the question for some mountain areas to see gusts between 70 to up to 100 miles per hour. This is what's happening right now. Things are calm, but give it some time. During the middle of the day, this map is going to be really active. And the other thing I want to show you, because I'm going to show you this map frequently in the coming days, look at the humidity right now. We've got humidity around 90% in the Inland Empire. Throughout the afternoon, as these winds activate, the humidity is going to drop into the teens, and by tomorrow, the humidity is going to be in the single digits. Once again, a particularly dangerous situation. This warning will start at noon. It will go through 10 a.m. tomorrow, and the places of greatest concern will be the LA County mountains through the I-5 corridor of Ventura County and also the western part of the Santa Monica Mountains. So I'll be back to time out these winds and show you what to expect in that second forecast. Right now, here's traffic with Robin.
And we have a new problem on our hands. Just got word of a crash involving a truck that flipped over. Does not look good here as you work your way out of East LA. It's southbound 5 after the Grande Vista exit. At least 3 lanes of traffic blocked here. Emergency crews on the way. That's definitely going to tie up traffic, so I'll be keeping my eyes on it. Earlier, I talked about this crash here in San Dimas. It's still there. It's still active. It's the northbound side of the 57 at the Villa Verde exit. Lots of debris scattered across the road. 2 right lanes blocked, and we will have traffic breaks happening to clear this activity off to the side. But as we look at the sensors, your backup is growing. It's already jammed from the 10. We'll check back in on these 2 trouble spots and drive times coming up in a little bit. Adrienne, Lynette, back to you.
Right, Robin, thank you. 5:33 right now. Well, the strong Santa Ana winds that will return today have the potential to whip up a small brush fire into an out-of-control inferno like what we saw with the Palisades fire 2 weeks ago.
And containment on that fire now 56%. And now more people are able to access their homes in this fire zone. Let's go to NBC4's Brittany Hope, live at a checkpoint in Santa Monica where these law enforcement escorts will resume later this morning. You have so much important information to share. Brittany, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Michelle, Adrian, and to everyone at home. So more context, we're standing at Lot 3 North. That's right on PCH between the Santa Monica Pier and the California Incline. Now it's dark outside, but I know you can see all the reflections from those cones behind me. At 10 o'clock this morning, escorts will start up again for those who live in the Highlands. So these makeshift traffic lanes will be packed with families who just want to get home. For so many people, they have not been able to see their neighborhoods or their homes, to see the impacts of the Palisades fire since they evacuated on January 7th, nearly 2 weeks ago. Long lines of cars filled this beachside parking lot turned checkpoint yesterday. These law enforcement escorts are happening every day now for those who live in the Highlands from 10 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. Words like cautiously optimistic, stressful. Those were just some of the feelings we heard here from those finally able to make their way back up the hill to the Highlands.
Last Wednesday night, there's no way we're going to survive this. So how it happened, I don't know. So, but it's going to be, we're going to live in like an oasis surrounded by a moonscape, because we know the slopes have all burned.
And lots of homes, too. Much of the burn zone of the Palisades fire still under mandatory evacuation orders, and people who live in a lot of the areas are still not able to go back home. Fire officials say it's too dangerous in some neighborhoods with downed power lines, unstable hillsides, and trees and buildings that are still smoldering. Now, back out here live, a reminder, when you do come to this checkpoint, you need that government-issued ID with your photo that shows your address. If that ID isn't updated, bring a utility bill, bring your proof of ownership. You have to bring documentation that shows you do live here. Now today, the big story, right, talking about that red flag warning. We can tell you every few minutes we see convoys of fire engines drive past us on PCH toward the Palisades, toward Malibu. So certainly it does look like all of those resources are getting pre-positioned here just in case something does spark. We're live in Santa Monica. Brittany Hope for Today in LA.
You guys stay safe out there. Thank you, Brittany. We're now just hours away from the second inauguration of Donald Trump. But first, the Trumps will attend a private service at the historic St. John's Church in Washington.
Then they'll go to the White House to meet with the Bidens, and then this is all happening before the swearing-in ceremony. NBC's Alice Barr is live at the Capitol, where the inauguration is going to take place indoors because of the freezing temperatures. Alice, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, we're not going to see a lot of the traditions that we're used to seeing on Inauguration Day, at least not out on the National Mall, where hundreds of thousands of people had expected to see all this unfold. A lot of changes for them, for security as well. The president-elect, though, is staying on message. We're told that he's planning to focus on restoring confidence in America, as well as a message in his inaugural address of strength, unity, and fairness.
Today, the nation's 45th president becomes the 47th in an inauguration day as unusual as President-elect Trump's path back to the White House.
My administration will take immediate and decisive action to confront every single problem America faces.
Only the second American president to win non-consecutive terms, he'll be sworn in inside the U.S. Capitol over concerns frigid cold temperatures would be dangerous for the hundreds of thousands of people who were expected on the National Mall. 20,000 will now watch on big screens in downtown D.C.'s Capital One Arena.
We won!
Where the president-elect rallied supporters on Sunday and plans to rejoin them after he's sworn in.
The curtain closes on 4 long years of American decline. We're going to stop the invasion of our borders. We're going to reclaim our wealth. And we are going to make America great again.
He also made a solemn visit to Arlington National Cemetery. After after a phone interview with NBC News outlining his day one plans on everything from saving TikTok to mass deportations of migrants, saying, quote, "We're going to start with the criminal element," and planning pardons for January 6 defendants, a stark reminder of how his last term in office ended. A second impeachment, 4 criminal cases with 1 trial ending in conviction, 2 attempted assassinations, and a resounding election victory later. President-elect Trump and the nation now preparing for his historic return to power.
President-elect Trump is expected to sign more than 50 executive actions today, largely focused on immigration and rolling back Biden administration policies. Back to Adrian and Michelle.
Alice Barr, thank you very much for that live report. You know, we're still seeing so much pain from what the fires took. The victims killed in the Eaton fire were honored with a candlelight vigil in Pasadena over the weekend.
We are strong. We have to. We have to.
Powerful moments there. Dozens prayed in silence and surrounded by their neighbors and strangers. A local artist painted a mural depicting the fight to save lives and homes, hoping to give the community a sense of hope. One woman was overcome with his emotions, as you just saw there, remembering those impacted by the fire, especially the children.
Affected my school children. They lost their homes, those who've lost their homes, and that means books and toys and their stuffed animals. And they don't have them now.
Being ex-Altadenians and having so many friends and family members that lived up there, and to see it all gone.
The community says it will work to make the next few weeks and months go as easy as possible for the victims.
5 major financial institutions will provide mortgage relief to the residents impacted by the fires, including Bank of America, Citi, J.P. Morgan, U.S. Bank, and Wells Fargo. The institutions offering impacted homeowners a 90-day forbearance of their mortgage payments. They're also streamlining processes for requesting initial relief without submitting forms or documents. Relief from mortgage-related late fees and protection from new foreclosures or evictions will continue for at least 60 days.
Next at 5, our coverage of the return of the dangerous winds continues with our fire chief expert, Chief Sam. He's going to have tips on how you can play a role in minimizing the fire danger.
Hey, good morning. I'm John KNBC-TV. That information's coming in handy now. We got this red flag warning that'll go into effect today. The winds are coming back.
The fire danger is extreme to critical across Southern California. 3 million people under this extreme fire outlook, 11 million under this critical fire risk. Coming up, I'm going to take a look at the timing and also, goodness, this extended forecast. No rain on the horizon, just more wind. The details ahead. Here's Robin.
Good morning, everyone. We have a new trouble spot backing up traffic on the 5 heading into and out of East LA. A box truck flipped over. We'll have more details coming up.
And as we just mentioned, the Trumps attended a private service. These are live pictures from outside the historic St. John's Church in Washington. I believe that is a motorcade we're seeing right there. They just wrapped up the service. Then they will go to the White House to meet with the Bidens. This is all happening before the swearing-in ceremony. You're watching Today in LA. Welcome back. Most of Southern California will face another round of strong Santa Ana winds today.
And the humidity in some spots down to single digits, and that means fire danger, extreme fire danger, and that everyone needs to be on alert. NBC4's John Kattis-Klimek live in Pasadena, where we will learn more from firefighters who have been out on the front lines of the Eaton fire for days. John?
Yeah, good morning, guys. We're actually just talking to some folks who are coming up talking about this wind that's going to be coming into this area. Pasadena actually has parking restrictions going into place this morning starting at 8 a.m. because we are in the area of the Eaton fire as well, in the area of this heavy winds. Those parking restrictions going in effect 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. tomorrow night. That'll change if they need to change it, if the weather lends itself to being able to change that in some way. But it's been nearly 2 weeks since those fires just ripped through our area, the Palisades and the Eaton fire, causing causing so much damage in its wake. And now we've got a lot of people who are wondering what's going to come next with this next bout of wind. Thousands of homes were lost, dozens of lives were lost. The feeling of safety and security was lost when those flames ripped through the neighborhoods, communities, leaving nothing more than scorched earth and heartache, as you saw from that vigil that happened just last night. And while some have been able to go back and see what's been lost, others remain in limbo as this new forecast of dangerous Santa Ana winds makes another swoosh into our area. Red flag warning going into effect this morning and through the night. Particularly dangerous situation is what they're calling it. Has firefighters warning again to make sure that you heed evacuation warnings. We know the Eaton fires burned more than 14,000 acres, now 81% contained. It is good news in all of this. Hopefully the winds won't pick up anything that's still burning. We've got what they're calling this critical fire weather coming back into the area this afternoon. The event happening this morning at the Rose Bowl. We're going to have firefighters out here talking about what you need to know to be prepared for this next bout of wind making its way into our area later today. Reporting live this morning, I'm John Kelly-Sklemak, Today in LA.
John, thank you for that. And before the strong winds return today, you can take action to help minimize the fire danger.
Yeah, NBC4 expert chief, I should say, Sam Giovanna continues our coverage. Always good to see you, Chief.
Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning.
We're going to talk about these winds, but let's talk about this week. We understand it's National Community Risk Reduction Week. Can you explain what that is and why it's so important?
Yeah, basically what it is where fire departments go out, and just like we do all year round, but this is the week to bring awareness to it, bringing awareness to hazards we have, whether they're earthquakes, floods, wildfires, anything that could put your community at risk. It's Community Risk Reduction Week. And just like we do all year round with NBC, we put that out, Community Risk Reduction year round.
You joined us for our wildfire coverage of the Eden and Palisades fire. And then, of course, we've got the risk really picking up a little bit later on today. So the timing of this seems, very important here. Can you talk to us about what makes a successful community risk reduction program?
Well, the big success in it is having the community cooperate, follow the directions, and use the tools and resources that we provide them. It's got to be a collaborative effort. Yeah. We'll do our part, but we ask the community to do their part.
Talk about perfect timing. It's on top of so many minds when we talk about safety right now, especially given what's happening. And you provide year-round community risk reduction, wildfire and safety tips here at NBC. We know fire season now year-round, and we have another round of wind starting today. Help our viewers reduce the looming risk that they're facing.
Well, we do know that we need to clear combustibles away from your house. All combustibles, keep them away from your house. Prepare and plan for you, your loved ones, your pets, and be sure to check on the elderly. Make sure that they're prepared to evacuate, have important documents, medication in a to-go bag. With electronics, such as your cell phone and lights, make sure that they're fully charged. Charge your cars and generators, fill them with fuel, your cars and generators, secure loose outdoor items. And with these winds, use caution around trees and power lines. Treat all power lines as if they're energized. And remember, the tiniest spark can cause a fire. So don't use any electrical or mechanical things to start clearing brush right now.
Yeah, you just can't let your guard down.
No.
And you got to remember, that's a lot to take in, Chief Sam, but it's so necessary and so important. Is there anything you want to add before we let you go?
Yeah, one thing, Adrian, I'd like to say this. If you are asked to evacuate, please do so. We saw the gridlock during the Palisades fire. If you feel threatened or you're asked to evacuate, please do so, because it's a matter of life or death.
Chief Sam, thank you so much. You take care of yourself as well, and thank you for all you do to inform the community.
Thank you.
I don't know about you guys, but talking to some of the people I know, they haven't unpacked their to-go bags. They're really rethinking about how they do evacuate and taking it very seriously.
Yeah. I just unpacked mine this weekend, but now I might have to repack it. So
right.
We want to check in with Belen right now, because the risk, when we're talking about the extreme fire danger, Belen, you were showing us a little bit earlier, it's for the majority of Southern California.
Yeah, and it's the highest level
When you get to extremely critical, then you should have that go bag ready to go and an evacuation plan. I want to show you something that's really interesting, because while most of the country right now is being gripped by this Arctic blast and very cold temperatures, our weather is very different. There is freeze warnings, there is winter storm warnings that extend all the way down to Texas. And today, the inauguration happening, they have to adjust because of the very cold temperatures. But meanwhile, back here on the West Coast, 68 degrees, you would think we were having a quiet day, but we're not. Once you scratch the surface, then you know that we have these very strong, potentially damaging winds. The coastal areas could get gusts between 30 to 50 miles per hour. The valleys, the IE, 50 to 70 miles per hour. And the foothills and mountains, not out of the question to get wind gusts between 70 to 100 miles per hour. So a red flag warning goes into effect at 8 a.m. It goes all the way through 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And then within that red flag warning, a particularly dangerous situation that has been issued for LA County and Ventura County starting at noon, lasting through 10 a.m. tomorrow. So we're in the ready phase. You still have time to create defensible space, as Chief Sam was saying, maybe tie down any of those loose outdoor objects, but more importantly, assemble your emergency items and review your emergency plan. So here's what you can expect. The view right now over our area is cloudy, it is cool, it's even humid. That's all going to change as these winds strengthen. Our skies will clear, the humidity will drop. These winds will be strengthening through the middle of the day. The winds will be peaking tonight through tomorrow morning, and then we'll gradually see those winds diminish throughout the day tomorrow. But the rest of the week is looking dry with more winds. So just have that go bag ready to go, because the forecast, unfortunately, is not going to change for much this coming week. No rain on the horizon. Here we are looking at the weather this morning, and look at how our wind map, it really activates around the middle of the day. Winds that are blowing from the deserts out towards the coast. The temperatures are chilly. It's going to be a cool day. These winds are going to make it feel blustery. And something that I find interesting is that we head to the early afternoon hours, and wind sheltered locations could be seeing those strong gusts. Altadena, Los Angeles, the South Bay. And with the winds this time around, they have the potential of creating long-range spotting. If any fires were to start, then those embers could travel far distances. The weather as we head through this evening remains very windy for those wind-prone locations, especially tomorrow morning. It's going to be a windy start, especially over the LA Ventura County mountains. And then throughout the day, those winds will gradually diminish. Now, the 7-day forecast is showing temperatures slowly rising through the end of the week because of that continued offshore flow. And we're going to have those winds almost every single day. Through the weekend, the temperatures come down. There is a potential for maybe a storm impacting us, but we're still a few days away. At least in the short term, we just have a lot of wind in our forecast. And a reminder, you can always go to that QR code, and that takes you straight to the forecast from the First Alert Weather Team with other information to get you ready, because the wind, unfortunately, not going away. It's going to stick with us for much of this week. Here's Robin with traffic.
Good morning. We have a problem on our hands. I talked about this earlier, but now CHP has issued a special traffic alert. It's for a crash involving a box truck that has flipped over on its side. The location, southbound 5 at the Grande Vista Avenue exit. Now we have 4 lanes of traffic blocked. The special alert in place, and it will be at least for 90 minutes. That's the estimated time of clearing. So what is this doing to your commute? It's backing you up in both directions. Get out here as early as you can. South 5 is backing up toward the 60-101 split. The northbound side of the 5, that's backing up to the 710. And I'm noticing those 710 connectors are getting quite heavy leading up to the 5 as well. So 21 minutes and growing for North 5 from the 605 to the 10. 710 still looks good for now, and so does the 605, but we'll check back in on it when Today in LA returns after the break. Stay with us.
Now at 6 a.m., here we go again. Just as firefighters make headway on the wildfires, those dangerous Santa Ana winds are back.
Yeah, they're calm for the moment, but get ready because gusts could hit 100 miles per hour today in certain spots. Meteorologist Belinda Leon is timing up the worst of the winds and where they're expected.
Plus, Donald Trump returns to the White House. We're hours away from his second inauguration. An event moved inside the U.S. Capitol. We are live in D.C. with today's plans and the executive actions Trump says he'll take on day one.
This is Today in LA at 6.
Good morning. It's Monday, January 20th, and we're bracing for another round of dangerous winds in Southern California. This shot looks innocuous enough, right? But again, that threat is looming just around the corner, and firefighters are on high alert as the threat of wildfires, again, is looming upon all of us. We hope that you had a wonderful weekend, and thank you for joining us. I'm Adrian Arambulo.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Vyas in for Lynette. Let's get to Belen, who's talking about the red flag warning. Good morning once again. The map's so interesting. We see the pink, but it seems like LA looks like to be in a bubble, but still a warning for all of us.
Yeah, red flag warning in effect for most of Southern California. And this time around, that wind shelter location could be seeing those winds as well. So honestly, amigos, nobody is in a safe zone. We have very dry vegetation out there, and these strong winds are going to be impacting us. Yes, the biggest concern is fire danger, but also damage to trees, power outages, hazardous travel conditions. So take those precautions in mind today. We're going to see the strongest winds develop after 8 a.m. and last all the way through 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Gusts up to 65 miles per hour, but not out of the question to get some gusts up to 80 and even 100 miles per hour through those mountain foothills and the higher terrain. Now, once again, for the third time this month, the National Weather Service has issued within that red flag warning an area of particularly dangerous situation. This is going to be for most of Ventura County, the LA County mountains through the I-5 corridor. This is where all the ingredients, unfortunately, are coming together. If any fires were to start, they would be very explosive and hard to contain. Now, with the winds increasing, here's a concern as well, the air quality. Avoid spending too much time outside today and tomorrow because these strong winds are going to kick up the dust and also the ash from the fires that have already burned, and hopefully from no new fires. So please be safe, everyone. The timing just ahead right now. Let's check on the drive. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning. The drive does not look so good right now on the 5 heading into and out of East LA. You may even want to consider Olympic instead of the 5 because it's all clogged up and several lanes are blocked thanks to this crash here involving a box truck that flipped over southbound 5 at the Grande Vista Avenue exit. And now we have 4 lanes of traffic blocked. That's the 4 right lanes. So you're squeezing by, but the backup is growing and a traffic alert issued. We may not have this cleared until after 7. So the backup is spilling into East LA beyond the 6101 split and the opposite direction. The looky-loos, the rubberneckers, they can see that activity. So that's backed up to the 710 and now it's impacting the 710, which is heavy in both directions leading up to the 5. Also new crashes popping up here in the Duarte area, West 210 at Buena Vista. This has injuries. The 2 right lanes are closed, so it's getting slow from Azusa leading up to the scene. I'll check this drive time coming up in my next report. Michelle, Adrian, back to you.
Robin, thank you very much. 6:02 right now with those strong Santa Ana winds. In addition to the very dry weather, means Southern California's fire danger is extremely high.
So fire officials are urging everyone to be vigilant over the next 48 hours. And local leaders are also taking big precautionary measures to try and prevent any fires from starting. NBC4's Lauren Coronado live at Griffith Park, one of several LA area parks that will be closed today. Lauren, Adrian and I were talking about this. We don't think we've ever seen a closure like this happening at LA parks before.
Michelle, Adrian, good morning. I agree. We've been covering a lot of these red flag warnings, these particularly dangerous situation red flag warnings. And this is the first time that we've seen the city of LA close down so many parks. We're talking about dozens of parks and really popular ones, too, like Griffith Park. Just up the way is where the major road closure is placed right now. In fact, I want to get to video of it. We don't have cell service up the way, but I want to make sure that you're aware of it. You can see this is on Ferndale Road, which turns into Western Canyon Road, just off Los Feliz Boulevard. You'll hit this road closure sign. We're already seeing cars turn around at that roadblock. And let's get to a list of those park closures as the city tries to lower the chance for wildfires. Keep in mind, you still have firefighters on the fire lines working to put out those hot spots. So we're talking about Griffith Park, where we're at right now, Aliso Canyon Park, Coldwater Canyon, Elysian Park, Runyon Canyon, Hanson Dam, Laurel Canyon Park, and Dog Park. Porter Ranch Park too, but like I said, there are dozens of others included. For a full list, you could visit laparks.org. And of course, with the increased chance for fires comes the chance for public safety power shutoffs. Here's a live look at SCE customers who are being considered for public safety power shutoffs. Nearly 250,000 people right now, of course, to help prevent equipment from getting damaged in the wind and sparking a fire. And LADWP is warning its customers of similar shutoffs. Now, some items to keep on hand in case your power is cut, according to SCE. You'll want to have a first aid kit with prescription medications, bottled water, a gallon per person per day, flashlights and batteries, a rechargeable battery pack too, non-perishable food with the manual can opener would be really helpful. Coolers and ice chests just in case you're in a power outage that is going to be happening over a lengthy period of time, and any special needs items for infants, the elderly, or the disabled. And a battery operated radio would be a really good idea too. That way you can stay up to date with any news reports, any alerts that may come up. All of this information just so timely. We know how many people have been preparing for all sorts of different emergency situations. This is just another reminder to be prepared with those items. Right now, when it comes to conditions, no wind just yet. It's not even breezy right now, so you're going to want to take advantage of this window of time before the winds start to increase. We know Belen has been warning to take those precautions. Make sure you secure any of those loose items outside. Right now is the time to do it because we know the winds will increase. We'll go ahead and bring you another live update in the next hour. Reporting live here in Griffith Park, I'm Lauren Coronado for Today in LA.
All right, thank you, Lauren. 6:05 right now. Red flag parking restrictions go in effect in about 2 hours in LA and Pasadena because fire crews need as much room as possible to be able to quickly respond to emergencies. Signs will be posted and any vehicles caught parking on those restricted streets will be towed. These red flag restrictions start at 8 this morning and will last at least until tomorrow night unless somehow the conditions change.
You've been warned. And this morning, firefighters have contained over half of the Palisades fire as strong winds are set to return to the area. The fire now 59% contained. More than 12,000 homes and other buildings remain threatened. Yesterday, people who live in the Palisades Highlands were allowed to return to their neighborhoods with police escorts.
We're staying with friend's house and we had no clothes. I mean, it's just very stressful. I mean, it's just, I want to see the house. I mean, I know it's okay, but I still want to see it.
Reporter Brittany Hope is back out there live this morning, and she tells us daily escorts will resume at 10 o'clock this morning for those people who live in the Highlands. Law enforcement is reminding everyone to stay vigilant of the fire conditions and heed evacuation orders and warnings.
And more people in Altadena are back home this morning. Evacuation orders were lifted for some areas, but there's still many other people who are waiting for word that it's okay to go back to their neighborhoods. Firefighters are making progress getting a line around this fire, and we have a new number on that. It came in just a few moments ago. It is now 87% contained, and this number is staggering. More than 10,000 homes, businesses, schools, churches, and other structures were destroyed or damaged. Now, some students in the Pasadena Unified School District will return to school Thursday. Others will have to wait until next week. So more than 3,000 students in the Pasadena School District will be back in class Thursday. And again, as we just mentioned, the others will hopefully return next week. But campuses furthest from the fire will reopen first. That includes Hamilton Elementary, Blair Middle, and Blair High School. Each site is getting a thorough cleaning before the students can return.
And you know, President-elect Trump says he'll come to California on Friday as president to see the aftermath of the wildfires firsthand. He made the announcement yesterday at a rally in D.C. Trump said he'll get some of the best builders in the world to help the neighborhoods wiped out by the wildfires. And right now on NBCLA.com and on our NBCLA app, we have the latest updates on the LA fires, including containment efforts and which areas are being repopulated, along with resources for filing claims and ways you can help the victims.
And we have breaking news right now. Just hours before Donald Trump is sworn in, President Biden has issued preemptive pardons. He did so just a short time ago. So these include preemptive pardons for a lot of folks, but the pardons include one for Dr. Anthony Fauci, as well as for retired General Mark Milley and members of that House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol. And you might recall that involves 3 members of Congress from California. It also includes U.S. Capitol and D.C. Metro police officers who testified before that committee. President Biden's decision comes after Trump warned of an enemies list filled with those who have crossed him politically. Now, this is a live picture of Capitol Hill, where today Trump will once again be sworn in as President of the United States. Now, instead of the inauguration happening outside, it's going to happen inside the rotunda because of the freezing cold temperatures there in Washington, D.C. Now, we have video from just a few moments ago. Donald and Melania Trump is arriving at a private service at St. John's Church. They'll be at the White House within the next hour or so to meet with the Bidens. At a dinner last night, Mr. Trump talked about his plans for his first day in office.
My administration will take immediate and decisive action to confront every single problem America faces and put our nation back on the path to success and greatness.
Now, he added that within the first hours of taking office, he will sign nearly 100 executive orders. Many would reverse or eliminate ones implemented by the Biden administration. Join NBC News for live coverage of the inauguration of Donald Trump and witness this historic event from the heart of Washington, anchored by Lester Holt and Savannah Guthrie. NBC's live coverage starts right here at 7 a.m.
Coming up, a potential travel nightmare is unfolding this morning. One of the nation's busiest airports on the brink of shutting down. We'll reveal what's grounded at this major hub.
Plus, rapper A$AP Rocky is in the spotlight this week, not for his music, though. We're going to show you what's at stake as his high-stakes Hollywood shooting trial gets underway.
It's a new week, but it's the same forecast. I'm tracking Santa Ana winds again. Today, your checklist, have an evacuation plan, charge devices, secure any outdoor items, bring a mask when you leave the house, and stay in for CLL. Take a look at the timing of the winds just ahead here.
Good morning. We're also timing out the commute. Check out this rollover accident. Julia Dang and News Chopper 4 live over the scene, showing you a box truck that flipped over on the 5 here in East LA. We'll help you get around it when Today in LA returns after the break. Stay with us.
6:13 right now, and developing now, a winter storm is impacting travel on the East Coast from Washington, D.C. to New England. This is a live picture at LAX. And according to FlightAware, there is a number of delays and cancellations. And this video is from Houston, where sand and brine trucks are lined up and ready to roll in anticipation of what Houston's mayor is calling a serious and dangerous storm. Houston's airports are expected to close tonight at midnight.
Rapper A$AP Rocky heads to the courtroom tomorrow. He's accused of firing a gun at a former friend near a Hollywood hotel in 2021. Now, the hip-hop star, whose real name is Rakeem Mayers, is charged with 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. The 36-year-old has pleaded not guilty. No word yet on if he'll take the stand in his defense. The trial is expected to last about 3 weeks.
But coming up, a miracle survivor from our wildfires.
LA Sheriff's deputies discover a 100-pound tortoise days after the flames swept through. You won't believe how it survived. That's coming up next.
Our exclusive camera on the battleship Iowa, and calm there right now, but the wind's expected to pick up in just a few hours. All right, some people who had evacuated from the wildfires had to leave their pets behind.
And that includes a family with a giant tortoise, but they just reunited with their beloved reptile named Rocky.
True heroes. Oh my God. True heroes.
The family, as you see right there, so grateful. The Sheriff's Department posted this video. They say Rocky was found in the family's backyard. How about that? Unfortunately, though, the Eaton fire destroyed their home. But they say they are relieved that Rocky is safe and with them again.
And it is a miracle, because during the midst of those wildfires, our reporters, you know, including you, Michelle, you were showing us what was going on. Obviously, great danger. But I remember that the ground was smoldering and like there were little spot fires underneath, like within the dirt.
Right. Fire blowing everywhere with those embers. And, you know, Rocky is his name. And so fitting, right? Yeah. What a little fighter or a big fighter.
Yeah.
All righty, everyone. Well, take account what your emergency plan is, what your family should be doing, because we're all under a red flag warning for the most part. We're headed for another week with another round of potentially damaging winds today and tomorrow. There's an extreme fire risk, gusts 50 to 70 miles per hour, but in the mountains, the foothills, not out of the question to see gusts up to 60, 80 miles per hour, maybe even 100 miles per hour, with humidity dropping into the single digits and teens today and tomorrow. Another PDS has been issued within that red flag warning, an area of greatest concern. That's going to be over LA and Ventura County. That is where we have a very high threat to life and property. Other impacts, down trees, power outages. So careful where you park your car, charge your devices, and there will be some hazardous travel. Keep that in mind if you're getting behind the wheel or if you are one of those drivers of those high profile vehicles. Look at how the winds are going to be picking up. They're not doing much right now, but as we go throughout the day, especially through the middle of the day, the winds are really going to pick up. In Simi Valley, gusts upwards of 50 miles per hour, close to 60 miles per hour around 2 p.m. and they stay strong through the afternoon. So the winds are going to be strengthening around noon, or through noon rather. Here we are looking at the map and it looks really colorful. And I'll point out something else that I find interesting is that as we head into the early afternoon hours, possibly your afternoon commute, we may see some winds develop in typical wind sheltered locations. I'm looking at Altadena, I'm looking at Los Angeles, I'm looking at the South Bay with some strong gusts at that time. So even though the morning commute will start off fine, during the afternoon, watch out for some crosswinds. And we could also see those winds, unfortunately, create long-range spotting. If any fires were to start, then those strong winds could carry those embers very far distances. So let's be safe with anything that has an ignition source. And a reminder, if you see something that's, you know, a little fishy, then make sure you report that, okay? Here we are looking at the weather this evening around 10 p.m. and we're looking at those strong winds holding on. Those winds are going to be in play for us all the way through tomorrow morning. But notice how after 10 a.m. we'll start to see those winds diminish. So the weakening will happen very slowly for tomorrow. But right now we're just preparing for the ramping up of those winds, and that's going to happen through the middle of the day. The other thing I want to point out that I find interesting right now, the humidity doing good. We're at about 90%. When the winds activate, it's going to scour out all the cloud cover we have and really drop our humidity. Here we are this afternoon, just in a few hours, the humidity is going to go from 90% to 10%, and the humidity is not going to recover overnight. It's going to stay low. And look at tomorrow, humidity in the single digits. So that's going to further dry out our vegetation, and you're going to feel it as well with any dry eyes or maybe some dry skin. Very dry conditions headed our way. I'm going to skip talking about the temperatures. I don't have time to talk about that. We do have some very cold conditions today, and with the winds activated, it's going to make it feel blustery. But notice how we don't have any rain on the horizon. The temperatures gradually warm through Thursday because of that continued offshore flow, and another round of winds is possible Wednesday into Thursday. This weekend, the team is watching a system that could bring us some moisture. We're still a few days away. For right now, be weather alert with our fire danger today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday. You know, we have a windy icon almost every single day. That's also going to affect air quality, and the deserts. Watch out for blowing dust. And here's a look at the weather in the mountains. You're going to have some treacherous crosswinds. Avoid travel in the mountains because of that reason. That's your forecast. Now to traffic. Here's Robin.
All right, let's check in on our big trouble spot. We've been telling you about this box truck that flipped over on the 5. Now we have Julia Dang in News Chopper 4 live over the scene. Julia, I see a heavy-duty tow truck on scene. Are they making any progress?
They are, Robin. We've actually got 2 trucks over here, but look at this as I widen out. We're just east of the East LA interchange. Southbound 5 is where we're seeing this accident. Good news is we are now down to 3 lanes taken away and 2 open. It was 4 lanes taken away earlier, and these 2 tow trucks seem to be making good time. But Robin, you noted this looky-loo traffic earlier, and it's just as bad on the northbound 5. So here's what you're going to do. If you're going northbound on the 5, you want to get off the freeway before this 710 split. If you're heading southbound, get off before the East LA interchange. Look at this backup. This goes all the way back. If you can get off, take Soto Street, and then take that alternate, Robin, that you mentioned earlier, Olympic Boulevard. That's going to be south of the 5 freeway. Look at that, still totally clear. If you can get down Washington Boulevard, that's another great alternate, but you do not want to be on the freeway. No telling how long this is going to take to clean up. Good news, though, nothing spilled out of this box truck. Looks to me like it was a snack company, and again, 2 tow trucks on scene. They're working to get this cleaned up. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much for those alternate routes. We're going to take a little peek at the drive time here. 18 minutes and growing for North 5 to make it from the 605 to the 10, and you know that's going to go up. 710 looks great, 605 trouble-free. Injury accident here, and Duarte, leave early if you're taking the 210 west. We have a crash at Buena Vista. That's blocking the 2 right lanes, putting more pressure on your commute. Look at your drive time. We're up to 34 minutes right now to make it from Glendora into Pasadena. So several more problems to talk about. We'll have another check of traffic coming up after the break. Stay with us.
6:25 right now, a live look at Washington, D.C. This is where President-elect Trump just wrapped up attending a prayer service at St. John's Episcopal Church. And this is a look at his SUV there with Secret Service standing by. In about 30 minutes, Trump will meet with President Biden and First Lady Joe Biden for tea at the White House. That is an Inauguration Day tradition.
An unoccupied driverless Waymo taxi was one of 6 cars involved in a deadly crash in San Francisco. 1 person in a different car, along with the dog, were killed. Another person was taken to the hospital with serious injuries, and investigators are looking into whether the driver who caused the crash was also involved in a series of hit and runs on the freeway earlier. Self-driving car companies like Waymo must report each time their vehicles are involved in an accident. Waymo notes that nearly all of them, including this one, were the fault of other cars driven by humans.
All right, ahead at 6:30, it is a race against the clock to get more containment on our wildfires before the winds pick up in just a few hours.
NBC4's Brittany Hope live in Santa Monica, where Palisades fire evacuees are eagerly waiting to return.
Yes, and we can tell you we've sent a ton of fire engines and trucks driving towards the Palisades, driving toward Malibu to be prepared. We'll tell you what you need to know if you live in the Highlands and you want to try to see your home today.
Right now at 6:30, Southern California braces for another round of critical fire weather. Particularly dangerous winds have firefighters and homeowners on high alert.
And we're tracking which neighborhoods are most at risk over the next 36 hours.
Plus, Donald Trump prepares to take office for a second term. But first, a number of events are happening before his swearing-in ceremony. We're live with the countdown to his inauguration and details on Trump's upcoming visit here to Southern California.
Today in LA at 6:30 starts now.
Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, January 20th. Here we go again. Powerful Santa Ana winds are back in Southern California, and these gusts have the potential to cause damage and spark dangerous wildfires. Good Monday morning. I'm Michelle Bias in for Lynette Romero.
And I'm Adrian Arambulo, and we're going to check in with the meteorologist Belen De Leon, who is timing out the arrival of these winds, how powerful they're going to be, and they're going to be very, very powerful.
You know, the only thing I feel like we have for us right now is time. You had time over the weekend to possibly do any mitigation around your home, and I did tell you on Friday how you needed to stay connected to our team, to Shauna, to Stephanie, because they were going to fine-tune this forecast. Now here we are, just a few hours away from these winds really ramping up. That window is closing even more if you don't have your evacuation plan, if you don't have your emergency kit ready, or even if you didn't create any defensible space, because this red flag warning starts at 8 a.m. After that point, the winds are just going to go and go and go, and they're going to be relentless, at times reaching speeds between 60 to up to 80 miles per hour at their highest, but not out of the question to have some isolated spots with wind gusts up to 100 miles per hour. Now, once again, the National Weather Service has issued a particularly dangerous situation within this red flag warning. So this is a very small window, really, within this huge red flag warning with the most critical conditions. And this is for Ventura County, the I-5 corridor, the LA County mountains. This is from noon through Tuesday morning, where we find not only the strongest winds, but also the lowest humidity and the driest vegetation. So this is going to be a huge area of concern. I'll be back to time out the winds. It's not going to take long for them to pick pick up, and the humidity is going to drop significantly. Right now, we're at about 90%. The humidity in just a few hours is going to plummet into the teens and single digits. So I'll be back to time it all out and get you ready as much as I can. Right now, let's take a look at the roads with Robin.
Good morning. Down to the LBC. We're checking in on the 405. Just got word of a new crash northbound at the Lakewood exit. 2 lanes of traffic blocked. That's going to be heavy. The 5 will be heavy into and out of East LA. We saw this rollover crash from Julia Dang in News Chapter 4 not too long ago. It's still there. It's still active. A box truck flipped over. They have 2 heavy-duty tow trucks on scene, so a special traffic alert remains in place for this accident. South 5 at Grande Vista Avenue. Your 4 right lanes are closed. You're backed up on the 5 south all the way back toward the 60-101 split. The opposite direction backed up to the 710 split. So it's impacting other freeways as well. We'll check more drive times and other trouble spots coming up in just a bit. Michelle, back to you.
Robin, thank you. We are tracking those dangerous winds headed our way, and SoCal Edison could intentionally turn off the power to roughly 247,000 Southern Californians this week because of the high winds. In fact, there are no current public safety power shutoffs at the moment. But stand on guard here. The majority of the people under consideration for them are in Riverside, San Bernardino, and Ventura counties. Edison says this is really precautionary measures that help lower the risk that their electrical equipment could spark a wildfire during powerful wind events. Containment of the Palisades fire, though, now up to 56%. And the danger's not over yet with the Santa Anas returning today.
However, more people are now being allowed to access their neighborhoods to see if their homes are standing. NBC4's Brittany Hope live at one of the checkpoints in Santa Monica where residents will have to be escorted into the fire zone. Brittany?
Yes, and they've been waiting a really long time for this. So we're in Lot 3 North on PCH. It's right between the Santa Monica Pier and the California Incline, just north of us. Now that the sun's coming up a little bit, you can see these lined up cones. So starting at 10 a.m., that's when those escorts are going to start for folks who live in the Highlands. And we know that the lanes are going to be packed with families who just want to see their homes. For many, they haven't been to their neighborhoods to see the impacts of the Palisades fire since they evacuated on January 7th. Nearly 2 weeks ago. Long lines of cars filled this beachside parking lot turned checkpoint yesterday. These law enforcement escorts are happening every day now for the Highlands from 10 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. Words like cautiously optimistic, stressful. Those were just some of the feelings we heard here from those finally able to make their way back up the hill.
We're living with friends. We're staying with friend's house, and we had no clothes. I mean, that particular day I was at work and I had the clothes on my back. And luckily we have lots of good friends and they've been helping us and shopping at Marshall's, etc., etc. So, but we'd like to see the house.
And that's what thousands of people want to see. Much of the burn zone, though, the Palisades fire is still under mandatory evacuation orders. And some people who live in the areas here are still not able to go back home. In fact, the majority. Fire officials say it's too dangerous in neighborhoods with downed power lines, unstable hillsides, and trees and buildings that are still smoldering. Now, back out here live, a reminder before you do come to this checkpoint, if you live in the Highlands, you need that government-issued ID with your photo. If your address isn't updated on that, you need to bring some other documentation as well. Think your most recent utility bill, your proof of ownership. You want to come with all those documents so that you can get inside. We can tell you it's been a little bit breezy this morning, but we have seen tons of fire engines and trucks making their way up north on PCH. They're definitely pre-positioning themselves as the wind is expected to kick up later today. We're live in Santa Monica. Brittany Hope for Today in LA.
Brittany, thank you. 6:36 right now. Living here in Southern California, it's always important to have an evacuation plan. That means having a bag packed and a list of items that you need to take if you need to leave your home for a fire. And today, again, we are getting more wind, and paired with that low humidity, it really takes and elevates our fire danger to extreme. NBC4's John Caddy's Klimek live in Pasadena, where fire officials will talk more about these conditions. John, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. You know, Belen's been showing her models and what it looks like and where the wind is going to be strongest and how it kind of really goes across basically the northern part of LA County up into the Acton area, into this area where we are, of course, where the Eaton fire was, and then how it kind of circles around. But we're talking about how dangerous these winds can actually be here in Pasadena. They have parking restrictions that are going into effect at 8 a.m. this morning, supposed to last until 6 o'clock tomorrow night, all based on how this wind is supposed to be. But as we've been talking about this, it's been nearly 2 weeks now since the fires that just came down those hillsides here in Altadena, as well as in the Pacific Palisades, both the Palisades and Eaton fires, and how much damage that fire has done. Dozens of lives lost, the feeling of safety and security that is lost when those flames rip through those neighborhoods. And while some have been able to go back and see what's been lost, others remain in limbo as to what's going to happen next. The new forecast of dangerous Santa Ana winds makes another swoosh into our area. Red flag warnings into effect this morning and through the night. A particularly dangerous situation. We've said it over and over. It now has firefighters warning again to heed evacuation orders.
We saw a lot of people wait until the last minute to evacuate. We saw the gridlock it caused. People left their cars. It caused problems for fire trucks to gain access into the area. So if you're asked to evacuate, do so. Have your laptop, important documents, eyeglasses, and medication ready to go. Remember, your house and your contents can be replaced, but your life cannot.
Now, of course, we are closest to where the Eaton fire burned, more than 14,000 acres. It's now 81% contained. That's certainly good news going into this wind event that we're having, but there's still some stuff that's up there that's burning. So the hope, of course, is that this wind doesn't pick up some of that stuff and then send it flying into different directions, because we know how far they can actually fly. And last time when we saw these fires come through, it wasn't just the small embers that we saw flying through the air. We saw some really big ones that really ended up causing all those spot fires in different areas and burning more and more homes through all this. So the danger is there. The warning is there as well, which is why we just keep really hammering it to folks about the need to evacuate when the order comes down, if the order comes down, to keep that in mind and be ready to go. Reporting live this morning in Pasadena, I'm John Cadiz-Klimak, today in LA.
Johnny, thank you so much. Okay, we have some breaking news in Long Beach. News Chopper 4 live over a violent end to a police pursuit. Let's get right up to Julia Deng with details on this crash.
Good morning, Michelle. Look at this mess. This is just north of the Long Beach Convention Center. You're looking at the intersection of Ocean Boulevard and Pacific Avenue. Cleanup has been underway here for nearly 2 hours. So this happened just before the 5 o'clock hour. Long Beach police now confirming they were pursuing burglary suspects. They may have come out of a marijuana dispensary. For now, we have confirmed one Long Beach police officer was hurt. He only suffered minor injuries. He is going to be okay. Unclear exactly how many suspects were involved. We did hear multiple suspects. We don't have any confirmed information about their injuries. But look at what's happening right now along Ocean Boulevard. This has been shut down now between Pine Avenue and Chestnut Place for nearly 2 hours. You definitely don't want to try and take Ocean Boulevard as traffic starts to get a little bit heavier. But I'm counting 3 black sedans involved here. 2 of them completely wrecked. There's one on its side. You can see airbags have been deployed. And then this third one, I don't know if this was a bystander perhaps or an additional suspect involved in this pursuit. But there is a second location nearby in Long Beach that might be related to this that we're going to go and check out now. But again, Ocean Boulevard, Pacific Avenue shut down now for nearly 2 hours. Back to you.
Wow, what an expansive scene there. Okay, Julia, we'll talk with you in a little while. Thank you. 6:40 right now. Well, today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a time to honor the legacy of the civil rights icon. And this also means a number of federal offices are closed. Public schools have the day off as well as libraries, courthouses, city offices, the DMV. Post offices are closed. Postal workers will not be delivering mail, and most banks are closed today as well. All national parks are offering free admission for Martin Luther King Day, and entrance fees will be waived. Among the national parks in Southern California offering free admission, Joshua Tree, Death Valley, Channel Islands National Park, and Cabrillo National Monument in San Diego.
And coming up, a historic day in D.C. as well. In a matter of hours, Donald Trump returns to the White House. We are live with the inauguration rundown and Trump's plans to visit L.A. this week.
We're back! We're back!
So that was the reaction from TikTok users after the app was restored after a 14-hour-long shutdown. But how long will it survive? Find out why the app's future still remains in the balance.
In addition to the red flag warning, we also have high wind warning, so critical fire conditions, but also potential for damage to trees, power outages, also hazardous travel weather. The dry conditions will continue in our forecast, but just ahead, a small glimmer of hope. Could be seeing a chance for some rain. I'll tell you when, just ahead.
Welcome back. It's 6:45 right now, and we want to give you a live look at the White House. That's where President-elect Trump will meet with President Biden and First Lady Joe Biden shortly. As part of an inauguration tradition, they'll have morning tea to welcome in the new president. This will be followed by a farewell ceremony for President Biden before Mr. Trump is sworn in. And let's show you a live picture of Capitol Hill right now.
Yeah, NBC's Alice Barr live at the Capitol, where the inauguration will take place indoors because of the freezing cold temperatures. Good morning, Alice.
Good morning. Yeah, that tea you just mentioned at the White House is one of the very civil signs of the peaceful transfer of power, a tradition that is going on as usual, but a lot of the other traditions we're used to seeing today are going to look very different because of that cold snap that forced the swearing-in ceremony inside, led to a lot of changes for security for all the people who came here to watch this. President-elect Trump, though, is saying that his message will remain the same. In a phone interview with NBC News, he said his inaugural address will focus on themes of strength, of unity, and of fairness.
Today, the nation's 45th president becomes the 47th in an inauguration day as unusual as President-elect Trump's path back to the White House.
My administration will take immediate and decisive action to confront every single problem America faces.
Only the second American president to win non-consecutive terms, he'll be sworn in inside the U.S. Capitol over concerns frigid cold temperatures would be dangerous for the hundreds of thousands of people who were expected on the National Mall. 20,000 will now watch on big screens in downtown D.C.'s Capital One Arena.
We won!
Where the president-elect rallied supporters on Sunday and plans to rejoin them after he's sworn in.
The curtain closes on 4 long years of American decline. We're going to stop the invasion of our borders. We're going to reclaim our wealth. And we are going to make America great again.
He also made a solemn visit to Arlington National Cemetery after a phone interview with NBC News outlining his day one plans on everything from saving TikTok to mass deportations of migrants, saying, quote, "We're going to start with the criminal element," and planning pardons for January 6 defendants, a stark reminder of how his last term in office ended, a second impeachment, 4 criminal cases with 1 trial ending in conviction, 2 attempted assassinations, and a resounding election victory later. President-elect Trump and the nation now preparing for his historic return to power.
President-elect Trump is expected to sign more than 50 executive orders today, and we've just learned a little bit more about those from members of the Trump transition, saying that 10 of those orders will be related to immigration and the border, including declaring a national emergency at the border, the first step toward moving toward mass deportations that we've heard so much about on the campaign trail. Also, several steps to roll back Biden administration policies, including related to climate change. Adrian, back to you.
And Alice, I know this will be very important for our viewers here in Southern California. One of Trump's first trips as president is expected to be a visit here to L.A. What can you tell us about his travel plans?
He has said to NBC News in a phone interview over the weekend that he's possibly planning, most likely, to head to the Los Angeles wildfire zone at the end of this week. He said that he'd thought about doing it last week, but thought it was more appropriate to do so as president. He did say that he has not yet spoken to Governor Newsom, and that'll be an interesting meeting. He's had a lot to say, certainly, and now is going to be there in person to witness the devastation.
All right, Alice Barr reporting live from Washington, D.C. this morning. Thank you, Alice. Michelle?
All right, well, join NBC News for live coverage of the inauguration of Donald J. Trump. Witness the historic event from the heart of Washington, D.C., anchored by Lester Holt and Savannah Guthrie. NBC's live coverage starts right here at 7 a.m. Well, more on TikTok's return. The app used by hundreds of millions of users is up and running again after going dark on Saturday. TikTok confirmed it restored service to the United States users after President-elect Trump provided assurances to the company's service providers. President-elect Trump took to Truth Social, I should say, saying he wanted the app available to broadcast his inauguration. He also announced plans to issue an executive order delaying the TikTok ban by 90 days.
Right, 6:50 right now. Let's check in with meteorologist Belinda Leon, tracking the extreme fire threat and the powerful winds that are headed our way.
That's right. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's a national holiday, but Mother Nature's not taking a holiday. In fact, here we are taking a look at a red flag warning, a map that we have seen a lot in January. The strongest winds and driest conditions are expected to develop after 8 a.m. and then continue through 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. But there is a small section with this red flag warning over LA and Ventura County mountains that has been issued a particularly dangerous situation red flag warning. It's the third time this month. That's going to start at noon, and it's going to go all the way through 10 a.m. tomorrow. So that is the time frame when the conditions will be the most critical, again, affecting mostly LA and Ventura County. So this is especially an area where you need to have an evacuation plan and a go bag ready. Now let's take a look at the estimates, because we're looking at a potentially damaging wind event that could cause some structural damage, especially close to the foothills and mountains. The coastal areas, gusts from 30 to 50 miles per hour. The valleys, the IE, 50 to 70 miles per hour. But in the foothills and in the mountains, not out of the question to see gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour, and in some isolated areas, even 100 miles per hour. The view from Mount Wilson, we see some breezy winds swaying those trees in the foreground, and also a little bit of that marine layer out there in the distance. So the humidity is still high. We still have that cloud cover, but once the winds start ramping up through noon, the cloud cover will disperse, and then we'll start to see those trees start to shake more violently. The winds are going to be peaking tonight through tomorrow morning, and then throughout the day tomorrow they will slowly weaken, but the dry conditions will continue with another round of winds expected later this week. So we're getting you ready for it, and here we are taking a look at when these winds develop, and here we are looking at the weather at noon with strong gusts blowing from the deserts all the way out towards the coast. Even for the San Fernando Valley, traveling around lunchtime is going to be very challenging, especially in the I-5 corridor. And look at how those strong gusts are expected to reach the Orange County coastline. Now, I'll share something I find interesting is that this wind event does appear to be widespread. In the early afternoon hours, in fact, around 4 p.m., we could start to see those winds pick up for usual, typical wind-prone locations. I'm looking at Altadena, I'm looking at Los Angeles, gusts picking up during that time. So even wind-sheltered locations seem not to be safe around this with this wind event. Here we are looking at the weather this evening. Still really windy tomorrow morning. Strong gusts continue, and then during the day you'll see those winds gradually back off. But those gusty Santa Anas will stay in our forecast for the rest of the week. In fact, take a look at the humidity today. We're moderate this morning, but gradually it's going to go down. And then low humidity for the rest of the week with fire danger continuing. Now look at what happens Saturday and Sunday. You notice that humidity starts to go up. Well, the weather, at least for the rest of the week, is staying dry. We're going to have this high pressure in place, this pattern that is not going to allow any moisture move into Southern California. But watch what happens as we head into the weekend. Right now, we're seeing a glimmer of hope, a possibility for some rain Saturday into Sunday. We're still several days away, but I know that's the most common question I get asked whenever I'm at the grocery store just down about when is it going to rain. Maybe this weekend. Cross your fingers, pray, because we need it. The weather the rest of the week will slowly warm as these offshore winds just stay in place. The forecast for the valleys and Inland Empire, 60s today, and you see how the numbers gradually warm through Thursday, 80s, possibly with those winds not going anywhere. In the deserts, watch out for blowing dust today, and in the mountains, careful through those mountain passes and canyons. Those crosswinds will be very strong. Windy weather continues all the way through Thursday. Be safe, everyone. Now to traffic. What's up, Robin?
Oh, the traffic does not look good on the 5 Belen. We have this crash involving a box truck that flipped over and continues to block several lanes of traffic. It's on the southbound side at the Grande Vista Avenue exit here as you work your way through East LA. We have emergency crews on scene. 2 heavy-duty tow trucks, so they are working on it, but a special traffic alert remains in place. 4 lanes closed, so traffic is squeezing by in the 2 left lanes. But look at the backup. The backup for South 5 is almost back to the 10. The opposite direction, the looky-loos have traffic backed up to the 710, and now we have slow traffic South 710 leading up to the 5 because it's a very slow merge because of that crash. So the drive time still under 20 minutes for North 5 for now, but expected to go up and increase in both directions. Today in LA returns after the break. Stay with us.
6:57 right now. We want to give you a live look from Washington, D.C. That is where President-elect Trump is meeting with President Biden and Joe Biden inside of the White House right now. They're going to have morning tea to welcome in the new president, an Inauguration Day tradition. NBC News will have live coverage of Mr. Trump's inauguration coming up at 7 a.m. Well, the Santa Ana winds will ramp up once again today, and local leaders are taking precautions to try to prevent any new fires from starting.
NBC4's Lauren Coronado live at Griffith Park, one of several LA area parks that will be closed today. Lauren.
Michelle, Adrian, good morning. We're talking about dozens of LA parks that will be closed, including Griffith Park. In fact, we are just down the way from a roadblock. It's right here on Ferndale, which turns into Western Canyon Road, just off Los Feliz Boulevard. That's where cars are turning around right now. This is just one of dozens. You can visit laparks.org to find out a full list. But we also understand that there are public safety power shutoffs. Nearly 250,000 SCE customers are being considered to have their power shut off, of course, to prevent equipment from getting damaged in the wind and sparking a fire. And LADWP is warning its customers of similar shutoffs. Some items to keep on hand in case your power is cut, according to SCE: a first aid kit, bottled water, flashlights and batteries, coolers, ice chests, battery operated radio as well. Just another good reminder. Reporting live here in Griffith Park, I'm Lauren Coronado for Today in LA.
We're just a few hours from these winds ramping up and the humidity dropping. Red flag warning in effect again for most of Southern California. With an area of greatest concern, this is a particularly dangerous situation if you live in Ventura County, if you're traveling along the I-5 corridor, and for the LA County mountains. This warning is in effect starting at noon through 10 a.m. tomorrow, so there is an extreme risk to life and property. As these winds kick up, it's also going to affect the air quality, so not only take precautions to not provoke any fires, but also to protect your lungs. Guys, back to you.
Belen, thank you so much. Next up, NBC News special live coverage of the inauguration of Donald Trump.
A live look from Washington, D.C., where the inauguration will be held indoors for the first time in 40 years. Take care and have a safe day.